It's like a pizza crunch without the batter. It's like the wood juice without the water. You'll never get the knickers I found. What a fucking chance. Premeditated pattern. Premeditated pattern. Stephen Mccole, famous Scottish actor, known for playing roles in River City, Arthur Thompson Junior in The Wee Man, and my favourite part in High Times. We met at your acting class I've been attending, and I find you such an interesting guy, and I thought you'd be an ideal candidate for the Patter Puffy. You proved that when you came in and lay right on it, man. Assume we never got that on camera. So, I done a wee bit of research earlier, just a wee bit, and I seen that you grew up in Castlemilk. So, if you can give me an idea of the context involved where a guy from Castlemilk suddenly decides he wants to become an actor.
Right, I think becoming an actor mostly it's always about an escape, isn't it? It's always, for me, it was a bit of an escape. The story goes, I've got an older brother, 2 years older than me, and when I was a kid, I properly kind of worshipped my brother, right? I properly kind of that hero worship. Do you know what I mean? He was just really cool, and it was just great, you know what I mean? I'm not saying he's no now. I mean, it's still, I still feel that way about him. But when I was a kid, you know, I was kind of very kind of like, I don't know. Wasn't really into football. Kind of used to do impersonations and stuff like that, you know. I would just hang about with my mum and my aunties and stuff and try and entertain them. And, you know, I think it stems back from doing singing I Belong to Glasgow for the old folks when I was in primary school, and I got like a lollipop and 50 pence off one of the teachers, and I thought, there's money to be made in this acting game. Do you know what I mean? So, but years later, I used to follow my brother about, right? He fucking hated it, you know. Get fuck off. Stop following me about. And one evening, I was just kind of followed him clandestinely, and he went to school at night, and I was like, what's he doing? Went into the school, followed him, and into the gym hall, and walked through the door, and there was all these people. It was the Castlemilk Youth Theatre. Didn't even know it existed. Paul had been gone to this thing on his own, in secret, and my mum and dad didn't know. Nobody knew that he was going and doing it. Him and his mates were doing this theatre thing. And I walked in, I was like, oh my God, what's happening here? And my brother's like, get out, no, this is my thing, get fucking out. And thankfully the woman that ran it, Carol Hoy, and the guy Mick Logan were like, no, Paul, everybody's welcome, everybody's welcome here. So he was like, bastard. And they were in the middle of doing the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and my brother was playing Huckleberry Finn. And they gave me a wee part, and that was the first thing I ever did in front of an audience on stage. And I remember my first line of dialogue and everything. I might get it tattooed somewhere on me. And for that minute on, that was me totally hooked. For the minute I got on stage in front of an audience and they laughed when I walked on stage, as, I don't know, I must have been about 12 or something.
They laughed?
Aye, because we wee comedy character. What
was your line?
My line was ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. Something to do with a fucking steamboat. That's it. But ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. I walked out and I'm doing the kind of steamboat thing, and everybody laughed, and I thought, this is it. I will never not chase this high. Mm-hmm. And then the next show we did was Grease, and we rehearsed that for about a year and a half.
Really?
For 3 performances. We were really young kids, you know what I mean? And we kind of like, and it was like once a week and stuff, you know, and we did that. And I never really stopped, you know. I did a wee YTS going out of school, and never thought of being an actor as a profession, you know. But I was always looking for like amateur dramatic stuff to do, and left the YTS that I was doing and went to a careers office, and on the table in the careers office was a leaflet for Langside College drama department. So I just picked up that leaflet, walked back out the door and rehearsed a monologue and went in and auditioned and got in. Hated it. I spent a year doing that and just I mean, it was good. You got a chance to act and stuff, you know what I mean? But it was a lot of kind of inner politics and it mixed me with other people. And I had a massive Castlemilk-sized chip on my shooter as well. Do you know what I mean?
It's a different type as well. So you've been for the scheme. I actually auditioned for Langside College ages ago. I actually auditioned twice. The first time I auditioned because they wanted monologues for plays. And I'm like, I've never seen a fucking play in my life. And I won a play and I can't remember the name of it. Basically, it was like 2 pals and one of them had moved away and came back. And then one of them was basically going on a rant about all these asylum seekers moving into the flats, but it was actually raging about his pal going away, but this is the rant he was going on. So I was like, all right, I think somebody recommended it to me. I don't know if they thought I could play the part of a racist or something, but I was like, I can do that. I done it, then I never got another play one, and then the first time I went, I never got in. Then I applied for it over lockdown, and I get accepted. I done the exact same monologue in that. I get accepted, but I also applied for music, and I get accepted for that, and I was like, all right, I just went with the music one, but I ended up leaving after a few months as well. Well, no, you done a year, but when I went in, it was just kind of like that. As well, I was doing a lot of stuff like the podcast, and you know yourself, like college, uni, whatever, man, you kind of need to be zoned in. And a lot of the stuff I was learning, I was like, I could learn this off YouTube, know what I mean? Because it was a first year, don't get me wrong, but I noticed when I first went in for the audition, see the first audition, and one of the lasses, I think she was like a first or second year student, I think she was to come in and just greet everybody, and she walked in, she was just that dead over dramatic, like, hello everybody, and I was like immediately uncomfortable, because it was that scheming. I was like, oh what man, and I was like, is this the way I need to be, am I going to be around these cunts? And so I can kind of relate to you when you're kind of saying that.
No, but I did lots of youth theatre stuff, like Glasgow School's youth theatre, musicals and stuff like that. So I was on the outskirts, and we did that with a lot of theatre kids, do you know what I mean? That would, be singing songs for the musical on the bus on the way home from Mary Hill, you know what I mean? And me and a couple of guys like, it's not really me. But I loved doing the performing, especially loved dancing when I was a kid and stuff. So I was kind of steeped in it. I hadn't done it for a couple of years, and then this thing at Langside came up. I did it for a year, and then I got offered an acting job, my first acting job, doing theatre, a TIE tour, a theatre and education.
Right, okay. So what's that consist of?
So it's going to like 2 schools a day and putting on a show for them. It's a company called Hopscotch. You've met lots of actors that have done work with Hopscotch over the years. That was my first professional job, playing William Wallace in the story of William Wallace, going about schools and doing this with the long hair, and I was 18 and thought, that's it, that's me now. And then before you knew it, I was selling suits out a shop in East Kilbride because I couldn't get any more. I didn't know how to get any more acting work. That was me. I was stunted. So I did that for a while, and then I thought, fuck it, I'll go back to Langside. So because I'd missed a year, he made me audition again to go back and do the second year. This is before it was a musical theatre course. Now, way back, it was just the kind of NC and HNC. So I'm back and did it for another year, and again I didn't. I was like, oh no, it wasn't for me. So then I just started doing anything that I could. Luckily, there was a thing called the Castlemilk People's Theatre at the time. So all roads lead back up the road to Castlemilk, and they were looking for somebody to stand in for. Somebody was supposed to be doing a monologue. It was 4 funerals and a wedding, this thing that they'd done. Somebody wrote these monologues. And somebody pulled it. Now they had a week. And I had a photographic memory when I was younger. I mean, literally only had to look at something once and I would remember every line of it. It was incredible. So they said, could you do this? It's like a 25-minute monologue. You've only got a week. And I went, I didn't bother. So I just learned it in a couple of days and went up and rehearsed it with them and then did this show with them. And it was great. And then they had another show. They were, the next show, you better do that. And this is going to be a professional show. It's going to be a tour. You'll get your equity card and all that. It was like amazing. So I got that through the Castlemilk People's Theatre. And then did another play with them. And they were like, this time we're going to go to the Edinburgh Festival. We're locked in there. And it's just a 2-hander. I played 12 or 14 characters.
But in the one show?
In the one show. I had to, it was a bit of stand-up comedian. This was written by Ford Kiernan and his then comedy partner, John Paul Leach. And it was called Don't Start Me. And it was a bit of comedian in the kind of 60s, 70s, racist, sexist, homophobic. I mean, it's just like the worst character in the world. And it was about how he was the top of his game, but he couldn't change his shtick. So when it came to kind of being an older comedian and everybody going, you can't say that anymore. You know what I mean? It was his slow decline. So I just played everybody that met him, his wife, his agent, his, all this different characters. And then we did it. It was a great success. We won the Fringe first, and then we put it on at the Citizens Theatre for a week. And I remember being at the bar, and somebody I was like, "Have you got?" Somebody asked me, "Have you got an agent?" I'm like, "No." I said, "That woman there's an agent. She's just opened up an agency, and it was Ann Coulter. Ann Coulter used to be continuity women on loads of big productions and stuff like that,
Right, okay.
So she was opening up an agency and it had just started. I don't even know if she had taken many people on at that point. So when I was young, I was quite ballsy, so I just walked up to him like that. I want you to be my agent. And she went, oh, well, we'll see about that. I mean, you to begin watching the show. She went, I said, well, I'm a good actor. You're a show. No, you're a good actor. Come and have a meeting with me. So did that thing of, and I think a lot of agents who do that with young actors, you know that 99% of actors will be out of work at any one time. That spiel. I went, aye, it won't be me though. I'll be fine. I'll be the 1%. So yeah, she took me on, and then it was a good time in Scotland. Lots of stuff was getting made. You know, Trainspotting had just been made, and I knew a few people in that. Small Faces had just been made. My mate Gary Sweeney was in that, and I was like, it's a good time to kind of get in to the acting, you know. And I got so I just started getting work for there and TV work. It was all TV and film for the first maybe 10 years. I never did a play.
Really?
I never did a play again for another 10 years. And by the time I went back on stage, I was so fucking terrified of doing a play. It was like vomit in the back of my throat every time I did it.
It's that live audience kind of thing, innit, man? It's a totally different dynamic.
Get used to having, can I just try that again? Can I just be that better version of that, you know? And for 10 years, I think those first initial times, always second guessing everything that I was giving it, you know what I mean? They would do big things and what were really good directors who would put you at ease so quickly you would forget about all that. When it didn't feel like a production line, you know, get this done, we're running out of time, blah blah blah. All that pressure on a young actor can be quite. But then you work with like Peter Mullan on Orphans and Wes Anderson on Rushmore and stuff, and they were just so good. At just going, what you're doing is brilliant. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing, and you'll be like, brilliant. You just have a great time doing it.
It's just a heavy confidence.
They bring the best out of you, you know.
What was your biggest role? Your biggest TV role, see, like when you started off young?
It would be Orphans. It would be the biggest. That's being a co-lead in a big film. You know, was amazing. There were lots to do. I was kind of judge it not by the kind of judge it by how involved you are in the process. You know, so if I'm there all the time, I feel like it's a great role. It's a great job because you're always there, you're involved with it, you know what I mean? It's so Orphans was definitely early on in my career. I had actually just come off. That was one of my first. I'm saying I hadn't done theatre for 10 years, a load of shite. Because early on I did Trainspotting. I played Renton in Trainspotting for 6 months, touring England and Wales.
Like the play?
The play,
okay.
Aye. Like the movie had just come out.
Right.
And I think I was like 20, 21, and I got asked to audition for that and did Renton for 6 months. And so that was like a super emotional, brilliant acting training ground for me, because just coming out and really feeling that character and all that he goes through, and you know, crying on stage every night and really get the emotion of it. It was brilliant, and I got the audition for Orphans to go and meet Peter Mullan when I was up the road. I kind of had been doing it maybe 5 months, so I was steeped in it. You know, my emotions were right on the edge. You know, so I went and I auditioned for Peter in his house and was like fucking in tears and
you auditioned
screaming.
In his house?
Aye, it was just like
just dead informal.
Aye, it was dead informal. It was just meeting people in his gaff. Do you know what I mean?
Really? Aye.
The times have changed. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of self tapes now. Do you know what I mean? But back then you were actually meeting people and talking to them, and they were getting a sense of who you were as a person. You don't really get to do that quite so much anymore. I don't know whether that's...
No, I think it's probably as well. I don't know what it was like back then, but you're thinking like the pool, the talent pool, know what I mean? The amount of people applying for like the one spot is so vast and so wide.
It always is. You're in an industry that always churns out new people, you know what I mean? There's a reason why it's really hard to become a plumber, and it's really hard to become a plasterer, and it's really hard because there's already enough of them. So as an industry, they've went, you can only allow a certain amount of people to kind of learn this, you know what I mean? This is a trade for life, whereas acting's not really seen as that, do you know what I mean? A lot of people that go to drama school will never become actors. You know, very few people that were in my class at Langside became actors.
Really, eh?
Aye.
Why is that, you think?
Well, because, one, it's really fucking hard. Let's not kid ourselves. It's really fucking difficult mentally to take that level of rejection. Some people will be told no once and they'll go, fuck this. You know, so it's a spectrum, right? What you're willing to put up with is a spectrum, right? And I get told no a lot. right? Because I audition a lot, so I'm very in a good position. I know how lucky I am. I know I'm in a really good position where I do get lots of auditions, you know what I mean? But within that means I need to accept the fact that I'm going to be told no on a regular basis, right? So I've become really thick-skinned to that. I think some people just don't. I was lucky when I first started it that I got yes a lot. When I was a young actor, you know, I was in the right place at the right time, at the right attitude, at the right skill level. Everything just kind of happened for me really nicely in the first, 5-6 years. I was very rarely out of work. And the things that I was doing were quite big, and they were moving me on, and I was feeling that I was having some sort of progression.
Yeah, there was that thing as well, because that would really help boost the confidence, especially early in the career, because then that way it feels like, right, this is happening.
Yeah, definitely. And if that had been the other way, if I had not managed to get the things I was going for and not been as ballsy or as bullshit as I was, and a lot of jobs I got because I was just going up to people and going, I hear you're doing this, I want to be in it. And they go, who's this guy? Who's this guy? With the balls of steel, you know what I mean? I wish I still had them, but I don't. They fall off as you get older.
I know, it's fucking brutal.
So, yeah, I understand why a lot of people went and did other things, and they've probably bought a house and had many cars. I've never been able to get a mortgage or had much. Do you know what I mean? It's not a career that will earn you a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? Being a job an actor, it just won't. If you want to be a famous actor, you'll earn a lot of money. But being a job an actor, which is the 99% of us who are in and out of work all the time, you'll need side hustles. You'll need other things to do. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just, especially nowadays, especially the way things cost now, it's incredible.
Plus as well, though, if you're in it for the money, then it would probably be best suggestion you try something else, because it's mainly a passion type thing. If you're really passionate about it, that's the main focus.
Sure, but some people are very business orientated and can run themselves, their lives like a business. You know what I mean? I've never been able to kind of look at myself that way. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I've got too much of that cap in hand mentality. I'm always very grateful for everything that comes my way. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I think some people are feel they deserve what they get or deserve more. Sure, I feel like I'm good enough to kind of warrant more work. But what actor worth their salt doesn't think that?
I know. No, of course you've got to have that kind of thing about yourself where you do value your contribution to the point you're like, right, I feel I deserve this, I deserve more. See, even you touched on it when you spoke about you'd done like 5 months as renting and train spotting before you auditioned for Peter Mullan in Orphans, and you said your emotions were kind of at that brink where you could just switch them on. How does that affect you outside of acting, let's see? Because if you're saying every night you're greeting, surely that must affect your mental health in some way.
I'm dead inside.
You're dead inside? Really?
Dead inside. No, I was always quite an emotional kid. My nickname at school was Tiny Bubbles because I cried all the time.
Tiny Bubbles.
That was my defence mechanism. You get fight, flight, or freeze, or greet. And mine would go to greet. If I greet, people would leave me alone. I hated fighting. When I was growing up as a kid, that was a big thing. Do you know what I mean? He wants to fight you. Before kids had phones to look at, they just wanted to hit each other. I don't know how lucky you are as parents now. Do you know what I mean? So I'd get into lots of fights, get beat up quite a bit, bullied a lot, and my defence mechanism wasn't something I was meaning to do, was to cry. I was always just this really emotional kid. I quite ill with asthma and stuff when I was a kid. So I think all of that stays with you and it never really goes away. So I've always found that getting in touch with my emotions to play a part is one of the easiest things that I can do. If that makes me, if I read something and it elicits an emotional response in me, I think I can do this, no problem. I've got this. If I read something and I get no response to it, I'm like, this is going to be difficult. This is going to be a chore. Like what I was saying the other day about the skill of actively listening as an actor, just to listen to what's being said to you. Not waiting to say your line, but actively listening in a scene. It's something that took me years to get, and I knew I wasn't getting it. I knew I was waiting to say my line, and I was like, I don't. That's the one thing that's eluding me. How do I listen to something I already know as though I'm interested? That was very difficult, And I find that if the script elicits an emotional response, I don't feel that. I'm actually listening. And that was the trick. That was like to try and find some kind of reason to engage with what was being said to me, you know, to feel that emotion. So if something is written and it has no emotion in it, it's quite difficult for me to... It becomes more of a job. It becomes more of a chore. Whereas if it elicits an emotional response in me, I feel like that feeds me. It feeds my soul, feeds my creativity. You know what I mean? That's where I'm more interested in a character.
Right.
If he's upset, if he's angry, if he's got a strong emotional one way or another, if he's deeply in love, if there's these things and that comes across on the page, and then the words, then I find I can connect to it. I don't think I'm unique in that way, not by a long shot. You know what I mean? I think any decent actor will think along those lines.
So, like with a lot of scripts, will you first read it that and try and read with your emotions?
Aye, well, I would just read it as I mean, I'm an avid reader. I read all the time. Do you know what I mean? I've always got a few books on the go. I love reading. So if I can read a script and forget that there's a job attached to that, do you know what I mean? That I'm engaged with and I care about these characters. You know, either I care about them in a way that I fucking hate them, or I care about them that I love them, or I care about them that I'm worried about them. If I can feel that without trying to, without forcing it, I really want to be part of that. I think good writing breeds good acting. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't have one without the other. I mean, what I love about improv is that's where you become the writer. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when it comes to scripted stuff, it makes all the difference. Mm-hmm. If the writing is good, man, it's an absolute joy of a job to do.
100%, because then it becomes something a lot more than human, in my opinion. When you read something, you just connect with it. It's just words on a page, but you connect with the story. It's like, as I say, it manifests itself in your mind. You just see it, you feel it. And that's when you realise, right, this is the direction to go in, to follow this, to take this one. As you say, there'll be some scripts you'll read and you'll just not really connect with as much, and some you'll feel the emotion. And that's something on a deeper level, in my opinion.
No, you're right.
See, was there any point in your career where you had that kind of dawning moment when you looked at yourself, maybe if it was on a big production or that you were contacted by somebody you held in high regard and you just like, I've fucking made it?
No.
Never? Still waiting on it?
I just don't. I think
it's premeditated part of it.
No, I think as a young actor, you need to take every moment on its own merits, right? Uh-huh. Because what you'll quickly learn, I think the majority of young actors that are watching this, or you know, at the start of their journey, you'll quickly learn that there is very little consistency, right? You can go through a period of cracking work and you're doing really well, and then all of a sudden nothing. And you need to get used to that. You need to know that a period of sitting about and wondering why am I not getting any work is just around the corner for any one of us at any time.
Right, okay.
Right? So have I had what people might say is a big break? Aye, a few of them. Mm-hmm. A few of them where people will go like, oh my God. I mean, I've actually had a producer once say to me, oh, you fucked it. You fucked your career.
Really?
You came back from America, fucked it. And I'm like, what are you talking? I'm still, when I did Rushmore, when I was over in America doing that Disney film, and then I came back, right? I stayed for a while and then I came back. And then I went back out to LA for a while and then I came back. Didn't like it. I wanted to be an actor here. I wanted to be doing stuff that stories I knew, people that I knew were writing, right? There was a part of me that was like, that's okay. That's all right. I'm going to be an actor for the rest of my life. It's not a race. I'm not trying to get anywhere really quickly. I had to come to terms with the ideas that I held in my head as what it was going to be like to be a famous actor or be big or be successful are not really, they don't happen for many people. They only happen for a handful of people. The rest of us, this will be our job for the rest of our lives, and we'll be fighting with other people for parts. You're only ever really fighting with yourself, and how can I be the best version of me? You know, there's no point in having nemesis. I've had many.
Have you?
It's never got me anywhere. Aye, well, you look at people that always get always get the jobs that I'm up for. You know what I mean? So you develop these kind of thing in your head going, oh, I don't fucking like him. Do you know what I mean? And then you work with him, you're going, oh, fucking guy's great, man. Uh-huh. He's brilliant. I would have given him the parts. There you go. Do you know what I mean? You have to be that honest with yourself, you know. I'm not quite on that level, or you know. Or he's got XYZ that I don't, or you know, I cannot second guess what it is they want. I can only give them what I've got.
Of course, 100%. You can only do the best by you. Why did the producer think you'd fucked it?
Because I was back sitting in the arts.
As if you went to the States and then came
well,
back.
aye, because the if you were to look at that for anybody, right? So you've been plucked out of obscurity, a wee guy for Castlemilk, taken to America, dropped into a movie with these massive names, and you've got a really good part, and then you come home, and what do? You sit by the phone, you wait, you audition like everybody else, you know what I mean? So, but for me, I never saw anything wrong with that, you know what I mean? And I was like, what do you mean I fucked it? No, you had it all, and you know what? There's a part of me that thinks she's maybe right if it was somebody else. You know, if somebody else with a different mindset who wasn't, you know, so sidetracked by having a good time. All my mates weren't the actors, you know what I mean? I wanted to hang about with them. I wanted to go clubbing all the time. I had other things that I wanted to do that were, you know, acting wasn't the be all and end all to me. It wasn't the most important thing was developing my career. In fact, I don't think I've ever truly thought about my career in the context of here's something I need to develop.
Right, okay.
Right? My skill set, I've always tried to develop, but I've never been really good at playing that game, you know what I mean? Schmoozing and turning up at the right things and talking to the right people. Now, there are people who are fucking great at that, do you know what I mean? If you've got the talent and you're good at that, brilliant, you know, good luck to you. If you've not got the talent and you're good at that, you probably do quite well as well. If you've got the talent and you're not good at that, well, you might struggle a wee bit, do you know what I mean? Because you're no...
I know what you know, so you know that kind of person.
Yeah, and I was never really good at that. I was never really good. So I get why she said it. I do get why she said it, because if it was her and her mentality and the way that she was doing business, the way that she did things, that would have been the first thing on her mind was where's the next, how do I use this as a stepping stone? I just didn't have that mentality back then, you know. I was happy to have just done that thing. I did come back for America when I was 22, 23. I came back and my head was up my fucking arse.
Why?
Because I thought I was brilliant. I thought I'd that's the level of thing I deserve. You know, and I was like, oh, really? Oh my God, why am I back here? And I'm it was pathetic, man. It really was. You know, I remember going playing snooker with my dad. Hadn't seen him for ages. I was away for months, you know, and came back and I was playing snooker with my dad and I was moping. I was like, fuck's wrong with you? No, I just don't feel like I belong here anymore. I just don't feel like I belong here anymore. You know, I wish I was there then. He was like, fuck up. The fucking working for the railway my whole fucking life, and you're just fucking greeting because you get chat. Oh, you got to go to America and make a big fucking film. Oh, well, boo. And just tore strips off me, and it literally just my head just gets screwed right back on.
Just humbled you instantly.
Just instantly, and because he was right. He was absolutely right. I couldn't see it. Right, I couldn't see it. I allowed that opportunity to get under my skin, and right for that moment, he just went, "Oh, were you playing it?" It helped to change my attitude towards this business and my place in it. You know, and then I would take that with me into other jobs, and yeah, I mean, it's always good to kind of get a wee reminder of where you come from and get your feet back on the ground. You know what I mean? This is the best career in the world, right? It's the hardest job to get work, right? It's really fucking difficult. It's really, really hard. There's so many moving parts, and luck plays a big part in all that. But when you've got a job, or when you really feel what it is to be an actor, and you know, it'd be different for everybody, do you know what I mean? But when that thing looks in, when you're like, this is why I do it, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful job to do, you know what I mean? It's about telling stories, you know. You're one of those human beings that's good at storytelling. You know what I mean? We'd have been fucking revered back in the living in the caves days, you know what I mean? You'd have been a leader, and people would be running about you going, tell us another story, you know what I mean? So that I love being part of that kind of lineage of storytellers, you know what I mean?
100%, man. It's the storytellers that write history. They write the history books anyway. See, tell me about your experience of going to America.
Well, as a young, just really young man, I just got a part. Hadn't met anybody. Just got the part and went. That was it. And then I was in America, and I was the same young guy for Castlemilk that I was, but I was there. You know what I mean? And I was just loving life, man. It was brilliant.
What kind of stuff did you get up to? Apart from obviously acting. What was it like being on a big production? Did you get like the A-list treatment kind of thing?
Well, yeah, in a way. Everybody did. It was a small budget for an American film, though. It was a really small budget. It was a decent budget here, but back then it would have been. No, it was brilliant. You know what? See, just having people who know what they're doing turn around to you and go, "Yeah, you're good enough to do this with me," is a real fucking. I mean, it's what a boost! What a boost to the ego, to the confidence. I loved every minute of my time on that film. It was absolutely brilliant. Just being there. I mean, I can looking back when I go, Andy, one of you came back with your head up your arse. Mm-hmm. It was just perfect. It was like a perfect 8-week period in my life. Do you know what I mean? It was just brilliant.
Was there no intent to stay there, like in America?
I went back. I went back a couple of years later, and was in LA for maybe 3 months, and I was too much of a party head. Do you know what I mean? I was too much of a hedonist to be in LA. I was out every night. I was getting all these scripts through and going to auditions that I was like, I'm never going to get this. Because I would look at them going, never going to get this. My American accent was just getting better and better every day. I was just doing it with these guys I was hanging about with, and they were helping me kind of perfect it. And I auditioned for Band of Brothers when I was there.
Did you?
That time I went and had a meeting at HBO and auditioned for that. And then when I got back, I was back about 2 weeks, and I got another audition, a second audition for it in London. I went down and got it and got a part in Band of Brothers. So it was, for that job, it was worth being in LA for those 3 months, you know. If I had stayed, I think I was too scared to stay in America. I was too scared to stay in LA, do you know what I mean? I didn't feel like I was worthy of it.
Is that what scared you?
Aye, I think so. You know, I think, you've no idea the amount of out of work actors you end up meeting, you know, that are doing all these other things, and you know, been there for years and trying to plug away and all that, and you're like that you would be worried and go, but that could be me, you know what I mean? That could
be become another one of these jobless actors.
Well, I am. Who knew that's where I was going to end up anyway? But being away from home, big homebody, I had a partner at the time back in Glasgow, and that kind of pulled me back. And you know, I'm glad I came back with 2 kids that I wouldn't have had if I'd have stayed in America.
Right, okay,
you know,
I suppose there's that as well. I thought you were a single guy.
No, everything evens itself out. Do you know what I mean? But that's the thing. If I was a single guy and I'd went and done that, I probably would be speaking to you with an American accent now. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, it's nice to be back here, John. Yeah, my transatlantic, you know. But you know, yeah, if I was single, I'd have probably stayed. You know, right, but that was a big pull, and I think it is for most people. You know what I mean? I was, but you know, that's a long time ago. You know what I mean?
It's looking back in retrospect, isn't it? But sometimes when you look at these things, you're like, everything worked out how it was meant to work out.
Well, it always does. There's no point in looking back and going, well, if I'd done this, if I'd have done lots of things differently. Do you know what I mean?
I hate that. If that. Fuck,
you know,
if.
But I could be dead by now if I'd stayed there.
Exactly.
You know, it's a wonderful life, isn't it? It's basically what we're talking about. It's a wonderful life.
No, definitely. It's the experience as well, and it's doing it. And sometimes I feel that, see, if you'd have never done that, probably in the back of your head, you'd have been like, I wonder what would happen if I went to America and took part in a big production or a bigger production. But once you do it, sometimes you do these things, you realise, I've done it. It was great at the time, but I'm glad I done it, and I don't want to do it. I don't want that.
Oh no, I definitely want to do it. If anybody's out there and's got a big American production, I definitely
any American TV producer.
I definitely want to do it again. You know, but
so there was another film that you starred in that it was one of the most recent ones I watched in, and one of the most notable ones. You played Arthur Thompson Junior in the Paul Ferris biopic, The Wee Man. So can you tell me how this role came about?
I had done a film already for the production company Carnaby Pictures. I had done a thriller called A Lonely Place to Die, where I played this psycho killer in the Scottish Highlands, and it's brilliant. I really had a great time on that film. But when I was auditioning for that film initially down in London years before The Wee Man, walked in and Mike Loveday, was the old guy that used to run the show. His son Andy runs it now. But Mike was like, "Oh, we're making this movie about fucking Paul Ferris. He's like the Christ to you jocks, isn't he?" And I was like, "No, it's not really how we look at the gangland in Glasgow. You know, it's different times. You know, you're talking 50s, 60s. I can see why they would be revered. You know, there's a lot of stories about how they kept the streets safe and all that. It's the same cannot be said, I don't think, for the Glasgow gangland people in the 80s and 90s. But I was like, all right, you're not the Christ to you jokes. I mean, no, I don't think so. No. Oh, well, we're a part in it for you down the road. And I'm like, okay, pinch of salt, right? Let's see. And didn't even know I was getting that job yet. Never mind the next one. So I did a Lonely Place to Die. I had a great time on that. And then I got a phone call from my agent going, that they've offered you a part. And I didn't audition for it. And then they just offered it to me. And back and forward about money and stuff like that. And then I got it, but I had never met the director, you know, so I was down and he's a lovely guy, but I don't think he was best pleased at being told that's your actor for Arthur Thompson Junior, you know.
How so? What was you think?
Because if I was directing something, I would want to cast everybody. I wouldn't want the producers. So the producers have cast it, you know. The producers have cast it.
Okay.
And I think the first thing he said to me on the day before I even filmed anything, doing this night shoot and I've met him for the first time, Ray Burdiss. And he went, yeah, all right. He says, so just let you know now, I'm not happy about having to work with an actor that I've no cast.
Fuck, so that the first thing he says to you?
First thing he's ever said to me, right? And I went, all right, okay. Fucking
let me know, mate.
Challenge accepted. Though, you know, for me, I was just like, you'll see. You'll see. I had read the script and I was like, brilliant. I put almost 2.5 stone of weight on to play the part. Do you know what I mean? So I was at 19 stone I was when I did it.
Well, yeah.
So I was like, nah, right. And I had met Paul Ferris briefly, and they were like, any questions you want to ask me about him and that? And I went, right. I says, what did you like about him? What was your favourite thing about him? Now, they're very much enemies in that film, do you know what I mean? I said, but what did you like about him? You must have hung about with him a lot. What was your favourite thing about him? He's like, oh, brilliant question. It was really funny. Like, it was really funny. He would have everybody in stitches, always doing American accents and stuff like that, and he always doing wee voices, and he had these wee kind of turns of phrase and all that. So he was a really funny guy.
Right, okay.
He was really humorous, and I went like, brilliant. It wasn't really in the script, so I started adding all these wee bits and bobs and doing the American accent and all that. Do you know what I mean? And so that was So I had done my work. Do you know what I mean? And then I was in, and Ray was like, it wasn't horrible with it. Do you know what I mean? But it was just like, I don't like doing this. I don't like working with actors that I've never.
But so was he still going back to it? Is just kept making that?
No, first time.
I just said it, but you could get the vibes.
No, first scene I did, he just came up and he went like, "Oh, this is going to be good." And I went, "Aye, I know," because that was one of my favourite characters I think I've ever played. I always thought that that it was really fascinating. He had elements of Fredo for The Godfather and Joe Pesci for Goodfellas. Do you know what I mean? As like a psycho but a coward at the same time. Do you know what I mean? So that's where in my head I was just flipping between these two kind of really well known kind of gangland kind of film characters. Do you know what I mean? I had a great time doing that. I loved doing it, and it was so. I was so in it with that character, it was great fun.
You did play it well. In one part I remember, I used to be a mad Charlie head, right? And I used to, when I was ever a mad with it, I always used to shout this phrase, but nobody disrespects the Godfather. Baptisms and all that, man. I fucking loved that. I remember I was at a party one night, and there was this guy, how you looked in the film, I met this guy who was a fucking exact double, to the point where I was adamant it was him. I was pure mad with trying to get him in video to keep saying the man needed disrespects the Godfather. I eventually done it after about 6 hours of me pestering him, man. But that was my favourite line in it. See, did you research like the actual person before you played the character? Did you know of the person?
No, well, listen, I'm not one of these Glasgow guys that it's like, oh, the gangland, the underworld, and all that. There's a lot. I know a lot of people that are totally obsessed by it. I'm no one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've never read a book about them. I don't really, growing up in Castlemilk, I tried to avoid all that. Do you know what I mean? I avoid all the kind of people that were into that. You know what I mean? I wanted to dance and sing and act. It was so far removed from that world that it was never on my radar. So I was asked, they sent me the script, I read it, I thought it was really good. I thought the character came across really well, and I elicited the right responses for me. I was like, oh, I feel sorry for him. That's how I want to play him. I think he's quite a sympathetic character. I think he's between a rock and a hard place. It's very Shakespearean, you know what I mean? He's got his dad's this all-powerful figure, and his dad likes this other guy, this new guy, better than his own son. Do you know what I mean? He respects him more than his own son. He's got more time for him than his own son. So, if you boil it down, he's quite a sympathetic, tragic character, So I liked it, and then I was asked, do you want to go and meet people that knew him? And I knew this ex-copper who actually arrested him a couple of times and all that. And he's like, I'll tell you all these stories. And I don't want to hear it. Unless I'm going to get to rewrite the script, which I'm not, what's the point in me knowing any more information than is there, right? That information is there. So the only thing that was really important to me was what you liked about him.
Right, okay. So why did you not want to learn any more stories about
Because
them?
they've surely done all the work. They've put it into the script. What they want the audience to know is in the script.
Right, okay.
What is me knowing other stuff that might conflict with that? So say I go and speak to somebody and they're going, what you did, and then they tell me a story that totally conflicts with a line in that script. Okay. Do I have to then ignore that? It's in my head, or do I go back to the director and go, and it just causes more. I assumed that it had been written with the full intention of getting the important things of his character across.
So as for the question asking Paul Ferris, what did you like about him? That helped you identify the relationship between the two.
Yeah, I think it's one thing to look at it on paper and go, well, that's all there is. These two people hate each other, but they spent a lot of time together, so there was a lot of stuff that must have been left out to follow one track, and I just thought that there must have been a relationship between them before it all fell apart. You know what I mean? There must have been something.
Definitely.
So I just, off the top of my head, when he said, "Is there anything you want to know?" That's what popped into my head. So I asked it. I said, "What did you like about him?" Because if two people are being presented as enemies, they don't start that way. No. You don't walk into a room and instantly go, "You're my enemy." You know what I mean? Something will happen. And if you've known somebody a long time and they become your enemy, they haven't always been your enemy. It's the thing that will be the most, the thing you remember. But you have to go back to see what they were like before. In my head, I thought that was important. And I felt very clever for asking it at the time.
No, definitely.
As soon as I said it, I went, "Oh, you sound like you know what you're talking about."
100%. But plus as well, right, not to go in too deep to it, but having that conversation with a guy that did stand trial for his murder, it's just a bit of a crazy scenario as well.
But again, I mean, all I knew from the whole story, the ins and outs and stuff, was what was in the script, and I think that benefited me being able to perform it, because I wasn't aware of him as a real person, and I wasn't aware of him, so I got to treat him like a character in a drama.
Right. Okay. Sorry, mate. Because I was going to say, because I was curious to know if it was different to any other parts he played, because it was based on a real character, and it was somebody that was close to home, Glasgow, quite well known media wise in the underworld, if you want to put it that way. But plus as well, it was like, it's not as if it was 30 years ago or something he died, so it's still quite recently in recent times. I was wondering if that affected it.
Well, no, I didn't even entertain that, that thought process. I didn't think about him. I thought about the character, right, okay, and how do I bring it across. I tried to make him fairly sympathetic. I mean, I think that you can see if you watch that back that he's a lot of the times where he's been an arsehole or an absolute fucking dick, he's acting out. He's acting out for attention. He's acting out to try and pretend he is something that he's not. So that was always in the back of my mind. What would it be like to grow up with somebody who's like a crime godfather as your dad? No choice in the matter. You're born into that, and that's not really you. I mean, I thought about me. If it was me, I would have been Junior. You know, I'd have been swept along with it. I didn't have a violent bone in my body growing up. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want ever to be in a fight. But if you're surrounded with those kind of hard men all the time and having to live up to these naturally hard men, you know, I always thought that was quite a sad part of his persona, you know. So that's what I tried to bring across in the film. I didn't want him to just be one-dimensional. This guy's a fucking liability. Do you know what I mean? There's a reason for that he acts the way that he acts. You know what I mean?
He's giving it depth. It's understanding the psychology of the character.
He tries to be trying to, you know, like the film I did before, Lonely Place to Die. A guy just kills hundreds of people up in the Highlands. You know what I mean? It's not really. You know what I mean? I just got to know what gun am I using today? You know, gonna let me have a look at my knife so that I can. These were the important things to that character. Do you know what I mean? Can he use the gun really well? Any weapon he picks up, he instantly knows how to use it. He doesn't have to figure it out. Do you know what I mean? And so. The director on that film was like, "Oh, you're going to love this. We've got this pig mask for you. You're going to wear a pig mask for a lot of this film." And I went, "Oh, brilliant. I get a chance to do a big movie and be a killer. Nobody sees my face." There's only one. So, but we worked out it was just a specific section of the film that he's in amongst a crowd of people. So he puts this big, see this fucking thing, it's like 2 feet long. This massive big pig face with blood dripping at it. So it's really iconic. Do you know what I mean? I was like, "That's brilliant." So different characters elicit different thought processes for you, you know. You can't go, what's his motivation for killing everybody? Who cares? Who cares? You get to do all these action sequences and murder all these people and be an absolute psychopath. It's amazing. So every job's got its different wee thing. Do you know what I mean?
But how is it you've learned that over the years? See, like, looking at everything objectively, see, like, looking at like your Junior Thompson, where you're right to understand the psychology, his upbringing, but then looking at that other character and just going, like, this guy's just a serial killer.
His business, I don't know, man. I've always...
It's an instinct kind of thing.
I think I've always trusted myself, and my instincts are not always right, but they're not always wrong either. You know what I mean? But, I trust in that you've done the work, you know. Certainly, I like talking to directors and maybe the writer if I get a chance about why they've written what they've written, especially if it's fantasy, if it's not based on something real. Do you know what I mean? What's the purpose of this character? He's playing a smaller character in something. That every character has to have a purpose, a reason to exist. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. That's what I try and find. What's the reason to exist? Is the reason to exist so that the audience feels a certain way about another character? Am I there to elicit these feelings? You know what I mean? Am I there to elicit sympathy myself? Or am I there to do something horrible so that you feel sorry for somebody else? What's the reason? What's the purpose they exist? If you can nail that, if you can think about that, why they're there, you know? So then I think you're a good portion of the way towards understanding the character. So everybody's got a purpose. But if you're telling a story and you're only telling a story about certain people, right? The world exists out with every story, right? So you've got a story like The Wee Man. All you're seeing is those people, those gangsters, the people that they hurt, right? But out with that, there's a whole world. So why those characters? Why those characters in that moment? What is it that you're trying to use that for to tell the story? Where's it going? If you can figure that out, sometimes it's really easy. Sometimes it just jumps out at you and you know it and you don't need to ask any questions. Other times you might have to dig a bit deeper or fill in the blanks yourself as long as it comes across in your performance.
100%. This goes back to that kind of gut instinct. How do you connect with it yourself personally? Is there any kind of unique characteristics? It may not be totally unique, but one of the things that kind of sets you apart for a lot of people and what you bring to acting as such in a role of that?
Apathy.
Apathy?
I think.
Explain.
Growing up younger, people would say to me, "You're so apathetic, man. You're so laid back. It's ridiculous." And I think for those... where the weight of the world wasn't anywhere near my shoulders until, you know, maybe in my 30s. You know, up until then, nothing that happened would have bothered me. Nothing at all.
Really?
Nothing.
Where do you think that came from? Do you think that just came from your upbringing?
No, I think it came from being in the acting world, dancing, acting, like being with lots of different people. Lots of different people with different walks of life, mixing with people from different places in the world and just being myself. and realising that we're all just ultimately the same, you know what I mean? There's the, you know, what we put out into the world is normally what we get back, do you know what I mean? So what I wanted for the world was an easy time. So I thought, well, if I was just easy with everything, you know, it wasn't something that I was trying to be. I was just quite easy going, you know. I partied a lot. I went clubbing a lot, you know. I was always into my tunes, always into DJing. I always had another thing going, you know. Acting was never like, oh my God, you know what I mean? I live and breathe it, you know what I mean? I do, but I've also got all these other facets that keep me entertained and keep me going, and a really good bunch of mates around me. Just a really relaxed kind of way of life. I don't know if I try very hard to be like that. I find it's very difficult now. Do you know what I mean? I find it's much more difficult now to be that laid back person that I used to be. And maybe that's age. I don't know. I've never been this age before. So maybe it is an age
maybe
thing.
Responsibility as well. Being a parent, being a provider. And that
Sure. Aye. But I don't think I was very good at that either, to be honest with you. I think ultimately I was quite selfish. Because getting acting work was the be all and end all. The only thing I ever really worried about was where's my next job coming from. Nothing else ever really bothered me. Do you know what I mean? But because that was all encompassing. Do you know what I mean? What am I if I'm not working?
Right. Okay.
You know,
so
who am I if I'm not
identity.
acting? And my identity, as from a very young age, was completely wrapped up in this persona of Stephen Mccole, the actor, right? Who was quite laid back and went to a lot of these parties and went out all the time and was just dead like gregarious and fun to be around, you know, and everything was wrapped up in that. And when the jobs dry up, which inevitably they always do, you know what I mean, you're no getting that run of things. Maybe that first 6 years of constantly working and going to premieres and doing all that wasn't the best thing. Well, it was great at the time, do you know what I mean? But you get so used to it, and then when that goes away, you're like, well, who am I if I'm not doing all these things? Who am I? And the tension would start to arise. So, my gregarious and apathetic nature was because I was working all the time. I didn't have anything to worry about. But, now I think it's... I never take myself seriously, but I take the work really seriously. I take the job of an actor and what it means to be an actor really seriously, perhaps too much. So I like do plays and stuff, and years ago doing like big plays with the National Theatre of Scotland, and because I'm always really nervous about doing theatre, I'm on it, you know. And then you'll have other actors who are very, very good actors, but all they do is fuck about, you know what I mean? And they're fucking about and having a laugh right up. And I'm like, right up to before they walk out on stage, I'm like, shut up, stop talking to me. Don't talk to me. I need to be like, I need to be.
Understand, I'm trying to get in the zone.
I need to be I need to be here, you know what I mean? And that's just like to protect myself, you know what I mean? If I was to walk out on stage and fuck it up, which happens, it's not the end of the world. Nobody's going to die. Apart for you, that's why they call it dying on stage. You die a wee bit inside when it happens. But if I've done all the work and that happens, then it's unavoidable. Do you know what I mean? It's like just one of these things. But if I'm fucking about backstage and then I walk on and I fuck it up, that's my fault.
Nah, no, definitely.
And I feel like a huge weight of responsibility to everybody involved not to fuck it up. Do you know, I always have done, and to a point where I think it's quite detrimental. Do you know what I mean? But
I understand. There's a lot of pressure you put on yourself, but as well as I find sometimes we go back to nerves and that kind of thing. It can be healthy because then you go, all right, I feel nervous about this part, so how am I going to combat these nerves? I'm going to rehearse it. Like fuck to the death, to the point I know the thing inside out. I can do it with my eyes shut, and then it does help you become a better performer. But it's like a yin and a yang, because it can go either way, because it can get to the point where the nerves overcome you to the point that affects your performance. But I feel lack of preparation will fuel the negative side of nerves, whereas if you use the nerves to fuel your preparation, then it can go very well.
Like me and my brother always say, there's only one thing you're in control of as an actor, is being prepared. That is it. Prepare. It's that old thing, you know, preparing to fail is failing to prepare is preparing to fail, right? So, yeah, right away, as soon as that script comes in, get it learned. don't need to have performance or anything attached to it. Once you know the words, everything becomes much easier, you know. So you get it learned really quickly, and that is all to do with fear. For me, you know what I mean? It's like I get a script through, I'm like, I'll fucking learn it. I'll learn it backwards. Big speeches, got to get them learned, and then you can start discovering who the person is and why they're saying the things they're saying. But yeah, prepping is a great defensive mechanism, and that is born out of, I was speaking about this just not so long ago, actually. I said that for me, that is pure fear. I get prepared because I'm terrified of fucking it up. I'm terrified of getting it wrong. I'm terrified of letting people down. You know, my apathetic nature clearly has fucked right off. But now I'm just like, don't let anybody down. You know, we've been doing this a long time. I think, you know, maybe people look up to older actors. Do you know what I mean? People that have been doing it a while. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to be one of these people that looks like you don't care anymore. No. You know what I mean? Because arguably I care more now than I did then. I understand more about the process now than I did when I was younger. You know, I'm looking for more challenges and more challenging things now that I'm older. You know, I want to do things I've not done before. I want to be put out of my comfort zone. I want to, you know, I've been offered musicals for years, right? And my agent will get hold of me and go like, can you sing? I'm going, well, I mean, I sing. I sing, but I'm not a singer, you know, and just terrified that I would turn up to an audition with a song prepared and totally fuck up, because it has happened before. Do you know what I mean? I've turned up and I've sang a song and never got the job, and I went, that's my singing. It's my singing. That's what slows me that gig.
Have you told that, or you just think that?
No, I just think it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they tell you. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's going to tell you, by the way, you were great, but you're singing shite. Nobody has ever told anybody that.
I've heard some horrific shit.
No, maybe. But even like you want to see you for this part in this audition, and you've got it on your spotlight that you can stilt walk, and this character's in stilts and stuff, and I can stilt walk. I would get back into it. I've not done it for years, but I could get back into it. No bother, really high stilts, no bother. But I bet he sings, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not confident enough. So but now I'd fucking I'd date no bother now.
Right, so see, that's what I was going to ask. I see you say you're looking for things to challenge you now. See somebody with so much wealth of experience acting. How do you challenge yourself?
Every part's different. Everything's different. You can't really take anything for only confidence. Really, can you take from job to job? You know. Because you have to look at every human being's different. So every single character you play, it's like the multiverse. I love the multiverse. See, once that started getting into the lexicon, it's like brilliant. Said that's what being an actor's like. It's every character's another version of you.
Right. Okay.
Who has lived a whole totally different life and got into different things and has ended up in this point. Because short of going in and getting a full prosthetic makeup thing, you're always going to look like you. Mm-hmm. You're always going to kind of sound like you. Different accent, more polite, more scheme, whatever it is, but you're always going to be a version of you, but just with a whole different background and a whole different set of circumstances. So I think that's fascinating. So there's an endless multiverse of people that you can be.
So is that why when you look at like big famous actors, say, just to use a couple of examples, you look at like Mel Gibson or Bruce Willis as such, you'll see them in a film and you'll always be aware it's Bruce Willis in this film, or Mel Gibson in this film, but they're just playing a different... Like some you watch where the actor becomes the character to the point it's hard to distinguish them. They're so different in each film they're in, but you'll watch a lot of big famous actors and you'll see that actor in the
character
film.
Actors, action movie stars and stuff, people want to see them doing their thing. Right? Mel Gibson, they want to see Mel Gibson doing that Mel Gibson thing. You want to see Bruce Willis do that Bruce Willis thing. But other actors you'll see and they're completely different, and so character actors, and it's a character actor versus actor. You know, are you known for this thing that you do? I think I've looked very different in almost everything that I've done. It's not even on purpose. I just don't have an image. I don't have an image, right? I just haven't. I think since I started growing my beard, which is only in the last maybe 10 years, right? I'd never had a beard before that. So this now is a thing that you'll pretty much always see me with, right? A beard. Right. That's just to hide off my face. But I've never I've never had a shtick, a look, a thing. You know what I mean? Other actors, especially famous people, have got like a shtick, a look, a thing about them. Do you know what I mean? And that's what people want. So why would they try and deviate for that? Usually, find when they deviate for that, it's when they have a flop. You know?
see, the thing is with yourself, I've not saw you in everything you've acted in, but everything that I've saw you in, you've always had the shoulder length hair. Or the curtains, is it the curtains you call it? But is it kind of long? It's like hair down to there, it's shorter.
A couple of things I've had, the couple of things I've had long hair in, but it's really hard to maintain because you'll turn up with long hair and they'll go, when it cut your hair, and they go, all right. And then you're talking this enough in 3 years until you get long hair back. Do you know what I mean? Because you're constantly getting it cut. And you're going in and they're going, oh, that's it. So if you get maybe a run of jobs where they're going, no, your hair's fine. Your hair's fine. If that happens over the space of a couple of years, you can have long hair again. I love my long hair. I just had really long hair and a big long beard, and it was cracking look, but I wasn't getting any work. So I thought, well, maybe it's the long hair and the beard.
Maybe.
And then you cut it off and you go, oh, there's this cowboy in a thing. Oh, but you don't look like that anymore. That happens all the time, man.
Fucking hell, does it actually?
All the time. If I shaved my beard, or like I was away doing Blackwatch play, and before I went to do Blackwatch, I was really heavy. I was 17 and a half stone, quite chunky, and got this part. We had to do military marching, military training every day, like 3-4 times a day for this part of this play, and it was super physical. And then you'd like to do an hour warm up before every show. So by the time I come back, I was about fucking 12 and a half stone. Right, I was about 13 stone. I'd like lost all this weight. First job I got back was to play this big fat guy in a big TV series, and I was like, well, I went in for the audition, and she went, "The fuck's happened to you?" And I went, I know, I've not had a chance to get new headshots yet. I was just back for tour. And she went, no, this part's not going to work. He's literally described as being a massive, hairy, fat Highlander.
What was the TV series?
Outlander.
Oh, was it?
First season of Outlander, to play one of the main characters.
Fucking
and
hell.
I was like, is there any other part? You know, got a part of a skinny Highlander? No, that was it.
Fucking hell, man. I
mean, just chances, just opportunities. But it seems to always be like one of those things. If I shave this tomorrow, I'll get a thing the guy will be described as having a beard.
Aye, it's standard, it's sod's law in it, man. The minute you get rid of it is the minute you need it.
That's it.
I think that's how my dad's a hoarder, and I'm starting to get that way. The minute I find something out, I fucking realise how much I need it. See, have you ever faced any barriers being Scottish in the film industry?
Of course. I mean, the first few years, almost every audition I'd walk in. But then again, I used to be really Castlemilk, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a bit more than now because the job that I'm doing at the moment, this corporate gig, I'm able to be myself. I'm doing it in my own accent, which is something I'm very rarely do.
Really?
Very rarely speak like this when I'm playing a character. Do you know what I mean? I'm like on that level, and that's something I've learned over the years. That you know, you're an older person now. You're playing. It all depends. If I was playing a character in a scheme, then I would talk like this. Do you know what I mean? But. For the first 3-4 years, I was just told, can you be less Scottish? And this is in Scotland from Scottish casting people, do you know what I mean? Or directors would be like, oh, can you just be a little bit less Scottish? And you'd be like, I don't know, but I'll try. I couldn't really figure out what that meant, right? Less scheme is what they meant, less working class is what they meant, you know?
Okay.
But ultimately, you can either be the kind of person that goes, fuck that, and no get any jobs, or you can be the person that goes, right, there's a game to be played here, and I'm going to have to curtail how I speak, change it slightly for different characters. Not every character's going to speak like me. In fact, very few of them are ever going to speak like me, so you're going to have to find a way of speaking that feels comfortable. Because at first, that doesn't feel comfortable in your mouth, you know,
using your
saying
jaw.
things. Well, and you know, being polite without sounding like a dick was difficult. So those are challenges that you would face. Also, all the good auditions are in London, and you would have to travel down there all the time, and people would be like, "Why do you not live here?" And you go, "Well, I don't want to fucking live in London. I'm from Glasgow. I want to live in Glasgow. That's where I'll live for the rest of my life. It's my hometown, you know." But it was seen as a sign of, well, you're not good enough to live in London then. Mm-hmm. Like that had some sort of correlation to your ability as an actor. It didn't. It had a correlation on your ability to make an audition at the last minute, and it had a correlation on they don't have to put you up in a hotel when you go down to London. Like, I'll go up for things now, and my agent will say, you have to be London based. I say, well, no, because I'm not. I guarantee you, no actor has ever come up to Scotland from London having to say they're Scottish-based or they're Glasgow-based or they're Edinburgh-based. It's just never happened.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get put up, and that's just how it goes. Same as not. It's not the same the other way, but it's not as much now, but certainly younger. But I will still get those auditions and go, well, you need to have a London address. And I'm like, well, I don't fucking have a London address. I mean, I know lots of people lie about that. They'll have their mate's address and they'll lie about having a London address too. But it should, your geographic location in an island as small as the UK, where it's that easy to get to London, your geographic location should not come into it. That's just about saving money.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, when they don't have to put you up anywhere. I mean, accommodation's expensive in London, I get it. But they're saying no to a whole swathe of actors in the UK because they don't live in London. So I understand why people lie about it, but I'm just not doing it.
Because that's the thing as well. If you lie about it, then you need to either find accommodation or travel.
But people will do they'll do anything to get a job. They'll do anything. I just think if you think I'm good enough to come down and work for you, then I don't need the Ritz. I just need somewhere to stay. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
Need a bedroom.
Yeah, it's not a lot to ask.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, definitely, man. What do you think has been the biggest moment, the standout moment in your career? Was there any moment it was just let it sticks out in your head? Even if it's something little.
Doing Crying with Laughter, being so involved in that film from the very first meeting with me and Malcolm Shields, the other actor in it, and Justin Molotnikov, the director. And I had worked with Justin previously on High Times, and we were both really into improv, you know, and then he was kind of studying improvisation and I was running these improv workshops and all that, and it was all kind of just symbiotic. It was all kind of happening. And he was like, I want to do a movie that's mainly improvised and we're going to kind of develop it through a series of improv workshops. Here's the story. It's about two guys who both abused when they were kids. One can't forget it, the other one can't remember it. The one that can't forget has to get the one that can't remember to help him kidnap the guy that did it and take revenge on him. So that was the basic premise of it, right? I was like, brilliant, that sounds great. When do we start? He said, we'll start doing workshops soon. But we just need to figure out what do they do for a living first. And in my head is, in my head sometimes it doesn't. I went, a stand-up comedian. He can't remember the abuse that happened, but his horrible comedy has to come from somewhere. So as we dig into it, we'll realise that he's that horrible comedian because of what happened to him when he was a kid. And right from there, that character was born, Joey Frisk. And I went and did stand-up in everywhere I could. All these open mic nights as the character to just learn what it was like to be a
method acting.
I just wanted to know. It wasn't like I was going to write the comedy or anything. I just wanted to know what it felt like to just go out there in front of an audience and be on your own and be brave and bold and fucking talk to an audience. Right. So I had never done it before. I used to DJ at a comedy club and I had done some links for the guy when he's like, can you just do a link for the next bit and try to be funny and died on my arse. I'm like, oh, but I'd been really close to lots of comedians, so I knew how I revered them. I really did. Looked up to them, so I always fancied trying it, but knew I had a reason to do it. So I was like, this is a character in a film that I'm developing, so I was responsible for everything about his characteristics or the elements of him that work because I put them there. Do you know what I mean? That me and the director and the other actors put there. So that as an experience took us 2 years to make that film, and that is the best experience I've ever had of developing a character, of getting it to a place. I did all these improvised stand-up routines. I never wrote a joke. I never wrote anything down. I would just go out and tell stories and take the cunt out of the audience and make people cry, and just it was supposed to be this really horrible acerbic comedian. Do you know what I mean? So
in what way?
Just be
Do you
horrible.
remember some of the routine?
Well, I did like stuff about it was all sex. It was like the initial, when you first do stand up, it's all stories of your sex life, right? When it's all went wrong and snapping your banjo string and all that. Do you know what I mean? So there was lots of that to draw for, you know, and weird sexual experiences when I was young and all that, you know what I mean? So I would just talk about that. And
we talk about your own
on
experiences.
my own, it was all based on me, and then I would just
but there was an
extrapolate. I
element
would
of it.
extrapolate as I went on to try and make it funnier. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And your head you go, wouldn't it be funny if that happened? So that did happen when you tell the story. Went in, did a tiny wee gig in a place called Gramophone. And it was like maybe about 25 people in the audience, but it was packed. It was tiny people standing at about. It was a tiny wee venue, and I was on fourth comedian on or something. And there's these 3 girls at the side, and they were talking and drinking and laughing and on their phones all the way through the first 3 comedians, you know, and the comedian tried to get them to be quiet and they wouldn't, you know, and it was just like getting ridiculous. And I just thought, this is Joey Frisk's dream here, because he's just going to make the whole thing about the 3 of them. So I had 10 minutes of material and I never done one bit yet. I did one joke at the end, which a guy then came on and claimed I stole off of some other comedian. It didn't fucking matter. I'm not really a comedian, you dick. So I went out and these 3 lasses, and there was like a really big girl and then a not so big girl and then a really skinny girl, and they were kind of sitting with each other. And I went out. I think the first thing Joey Frisk said was, "I wonder if you can shut the fuck up while we get this done." Oh, that's a terrible thing to say. I know it's a terrible thing to say, but look at it. And are you on your phone? Who is it you're on your phone to? He's on the phone to your boyfriend. He's dumped her. Is he dumped? No, right. Give me a phone. Give me a phone. Phone him and get it to me and I'll speak to him. And I've got a boyfriend on the phone. It's like, why is it? Yeah. Why are you quitting? Oh, what? Because you want to take it up your arse? I mean, he was just being... I would never say that to people. But when I was trying to be this character and develop his horrible sense of humour, I didn't have to be funny in that moment. I just had to be horrible. So I was really horrible to these 3 lasses. And one of them got up and ran away and was greeting in the toilet and all that. And turned out it was her birthday. And I was like, I'm Joey Frisk. I made a girl cry on her birthday goodnight and walked off. And felt no shame about doing it at all. Didn't feel. But one, they were talking during the comedy act, so they fucking deserve everything they get, right? But those moments I never thought in a million years that I would throw myself into a character that much, that I would go out and put myself in the firing line. I almost get beat to death in a gig in Liverpool.
Really?
I'm lucky I got out alive. I was just terrible. It was just a rang gig for my material about my sexual exploits and that, you know. It was very right on. It was like a socialist workers club or something, you know what I mean? And at one point a woman came out of the audience, walked right up to the stage and went, "Do you know what, you're shit, why don't you just get off and save yourself a bit of bother?" And I went, do you know what, you're right. And then walked in, but walking off the stage, I had to walk through the crowd to the back of the room. And it was like slowly parting out of my way. It was the most awkward thing I've ever felt in my life. Really, it was brilliant. Because up until that point, all my gigs had been kind of good, you know, and I hadn't experienced a gig that just burned, was horrible. And to get the full experience of that character. So even those moments that were horrible, I was inside, I was like, yes, I've achieved that. I've unlocked that element of being a comedian, you know.
Because that's the thing, it takes away, that thing for comedy is going up like, right, I need to go up and die masked till I get it right. And that's the thing, it freezes most people, but the thing is, you're going up and developing a character, so no matter how bad it goes or good it goes, you're still getting.
I was very lucky that I had great gigs right up to then. I was only one bad gig I had the entire time, and then me and a couple of comedians were Laura Keenan, who played my manager, who actually was a manager of stand-up comedians, and Parrot. Parrot's a great Scottish comedian, just like a legendary Scottish comedian. Parrot.
Is that his name?
That's his name.
What's his real name?
Parrot.
I'm
pretty sure his name's Parrot. Parrot O'Hara.
All right,
I think.
I heard him.
Jim, I don't know his real name is. He'd be in his 60s now, I would imagine.
Okay.
But we used to
active?
sit. I still does gigs. So we would sit and go through stuff. I would just throw bits out and they would like throw them back to me and go, what's this? And somebody wrote a whole routine for me and I went, I can't do that. I've been doing these gigs in my own voice. I can't really get somebody else's voice clearly, you know. And so eventually I improvised a lot of there's loads of stand-up in the film, but I improvised most of that.
Really?
You know,
just on the spot?
We come up with stuff in the flat. Just like a framework. Wouldn't it be funny if we talked about this? So I did this whole bit about if men had babies instead of women, you know, how different the world would be. Like, you know, because a woman having a kid, they always complain about that's how they got a big baggy vagina. Now, you know what I mean? But imagine that was a guy, you know what I mean? Your dick was this big elephant's trunk kind of extended and pussy. You're having a wane out your dick, do you know what I mean? So you'd be like, fuck, you begin to the shower and see this massive schlong. How many ways you got, mate? You know what I mean? So what's this thing and if you're lying there having your baby and your baby's getting pushed out of your dick and you can just see the face pressed up against the shaft of your penis as it's working its way out, and I go, hold on, does that make you a paedophile if you've got a vein inside your cock? So those were the kind of jokes that Joy Frisk was telling, you know. I was always proud of that one.
No, it was actually, see, to be honest, it sounds quite a decent routine. It's, did you never get the taste for the comedy circuit, or because you were playing a character?
No, you know, people always said to me after, why did you stop? Like even at the premiere in Edinburgh, when we premiered the movie, I did like a half an hour stand-up routine.
But as Joey Frisk? As
Joey Frisk, just taking a piss out of people in the audience and stuff like that, and it was amazing. It was great. Do you know what I mean? It was good times, man. But no, I felt I've already got a career that's really difficult to get anywhere with. No, I want to set myself up another career, but it's really difficult to get anywhere with, you know. And
of course, man.
DJing, you're trying to get a decent DJ gig somewhere is like hard as well, you know. So I've already got loads of things.
I've got enough challenges.
I've got enough jobs I can't get work at, you know what I mean?
What would you say your biggest regret in your career is?
I don't really have any. No. I don't look back on things that I wish I had done or wish I hadn't done, and I've made mistakes, but I've learned from them. So I think if I had any mistakes that I'd made that I didn't learn from, then I probably would have regrets. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. Getting into it in the first place. It's, you know, maybe I'd have like a business and a house and money and stuff if I hadn't get into it. But no, seriously, I don't really have any regrets. I've no hurt anybody along the way on my journey. I've no, you know, I've tried to be open to everybody I work with, try and kind of bring them in to the inner kind of thing, you know what I mean? I've tried to be open, I've tried to be helpful wherever possible, you know. If I've got any wisdom at all to give across, I give it, do you know what I mean? And if people are willing to listen to it, then brilliant, you know. And if they ask me for any help, I'll give it, you know. I'm a firm believer that, you know, you've only got a finite amount of time on this planet. You know, why spend it being a cunt?
You're right, man.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, if you look back at your life on your deathbed and go, I wish I wasn't such a cunt, then you're in trouble. I know I won't have to do that. I won't have to sit in my deathbed worrying about the things that I did to people, because I don't. I'm consciously don't want to hurt anybody. I consciously would love to live in a world where everybody was just all right. You know what I mean? So one thing I used to tell my kids, you know, it's probably the only good advice I ever gave them. You know, the world's got enough cunts in it. Don't add to it. Don't add to that number. We need to bring that number down.
100%. It is good advice. It's good life advice. It leads me on to, because now what I know you for is a kind of a teaching relationship where you do the improv classes, and I don't really know much of the experience of the class, but nobody's a professional as far as I know to a degree. So what I understand you as a teacher, what do you take for teaching compared to actually being an actor?
I don't think I'm a teacher. I think setting yourself up as somebody who has some sort of secret knowledge about something. The improvisation workshops that I run are, I mean, I would start them with like professional. I think there's a mixture of people who are professional actors and who aren't. But I think improvisation is a great leveler, because normally people who aren't professional actors are better at it than professional actors, because they don't really have that performative thing that actors kind of develop. So I said I'm a facilitator, right? I facilitate the workshop, which means I'll run it for you. You know, I'll run it. I'll spend the week before it thinking about what I'm going to do with you, why I'm going to do it, what can you get out of it is the number one thing. What do I hope that this bunch of actors are going to leave thinking, go, all right, okay, no, that A, B, C, that makes sense, right? Because I did these exercises and they didn't work. Why did they not work? It's almost more important that there's failure involved than success. If I set you an exercise and it's really easy and you go, a piece of piss, what have you learned for that? That's a piece of piss. If I set you an exercise and it's quite tricky and you fail at it a few times, you'll run that through in your head and you go, why did I get that wrong? What was in my head when I was trying to achieve that goal? So I facilitate the workshops. I've got a wealth of experience, which I do love sharing if people want to hear it. You know what I mean? I think that for me, seeing people get something, you know, at a wee moment we go, you see people stopping doing the bad things, you know, the things they're going, don't do that. And then they keep doing it. And then you go, don't do that. And then they don't do it. You go, success. We can move on to something a little bit more complex now. So development, helping people to develop a better version of themselves. Right, there is no secret. Like, people were sending me emails when I was setting them up and going, right, but are you going to help us get agents and stuff? And I went, nah, it's not what it's for. I'm sure there's other people that will claim that that's what you'll get from their acting thing, you know, that this is going to make you a career. I'm not here to help your acting career. It's not what I'm for. What I am useful for is to help you become a better actor, to help you develop a skill set by practice. By going to the gym, going to the acting gym, right? So you develop these other facets. So that's I'll be like an acting PT more than anything. Do you know what I mean? Is that I'm there to kind of to just set you exercises and help you train. That's it. Some people have already done 3 years of training, but they've not done it for a few years, and then acting work's not constant, so you're never getting to practice these things that you learn. So sessions like the ones that I run are, I think, an ideal place to play.
Definitely, because there's no a weight of expectation, was I think what a lot of people go in with at first. Me, I can speak to myself personally. You go in with this, right, I need to perform, I can't mess setting up, and you go in, and my first time there, times before I've done something, maybe I went in an exercise and maybe I've approached it and know to the theme of the exercise and like, right, this is how you do it kind of thing, and initially you're gathered up like, fuck that. You immediately get in your own head, but what you done quite well was just go like that, listen, there's no wrong answers in here, there's no wrong ways of doing things, this is just the kind of way to do it. And just that patience kind of thing, and it allowed me to kind of drop the guard a bit, to kind of approach it, man. Then it just took the pressure off.
But you need to drop your guard. That's the ultimate aim of coming and doing workshops. You know what I mean? Everybody's guarded. Everybody's got a wee warp. Everybody's got a thing. Nobody wants to look like a dick. Right? Nobody wants to look stupid. Nobody wants to go to feel like they're the only person not getting something right, and that can be really off-putting, right? And we've seen that in the workshops. Right? We've seen people get quite upset because I'm going, go back. No, you're still making that same mistake, go back. And it can be quite tricky, right? But it is not a space for people to go, look at me, look how good I am. It's the opposite. It's to go, I'm going to fucking throw this at the wall. Hopefully it will stick. Oh, it didn't stick. Oh well, on to the next one. It's as simple as that. Failure is a part of being an actor, right? You fail at auditions. You fail to maybe fully understand a script when it's sent to you. That can happen. You won't really get what it is trying to do. You won't really get the thing until you're in there and you're working it with a director or the writer or other actors, and you talk about it. And you know, it's a journey of discovery. But failure is very much a part of it. So you have to be ready for that. I like it when people try stuff and they get it wrong. I think it's brilliant, because then I can step in and go, right, do you know why did that go wrong? I never step in and go, that went wrong because I asked the question to the group, why didn't that work? Because then everybody learns something from it. You know, we can all start talking about it and go, well, see if you didn't, why did you? And then I can go, well, why did you do that? What in you was making you go, oh, it's normally a defence mechanism because you don't want to look stupid. But get rid of that and you'll never look stupid. You know what I mean? You'll never feel that way. There's definitely, I think I've always had a real part in myself, and maybe that's why I started throwing myself into improv to start with, was to get rid of all those things that were holding me back. And those are all like personal demons about your past, and people that have laughed at you before, and they'll kind of stick with you, and they kind of hang about you like these fucking spectres of doom, and you just need to get rid of them all. They don't matter. They're only here for a short period of time. Might as well be the best version of yourself. And I think that's why workshops like that are important. Throw yourself into it. If you get something out of it at the end of the day, brilliant. It's a massive bonus. But the work that you do in there, in those scenes, throwing all these different characters to the wall, these different things, learning how to just talk better and be more spontaneous, and all these little things can become really helpful. You know what I mean?
100%. Even outside of acting, because it's like a lot of people say it's a confidence thing as well.
Life skills, man. Improv's definitely a life skill. That's why setting up the kind of beginners class, and like, right, okay, well, I need to kind of broaden that out a wee bit, I maybe need to take that into like community halls and set one up in somewhere like Castlemilk Community Centre, and that's for anybody, for everybody. Maybe you'll get a big room full of 40, 50 people that are just want to kind of play and have a chance to kind of shout and be loud and step out of that person they normally are, who's a little bit reserved and shy, and so how do you get that across to people at the very beginning? None of that matters in here. That's why I always say, look about the room. This is your team. All these people are here for the same reason. You're all here to do the same thing. You should be able to fuck it right up in front of these people and feel absolutely nothing. Feel no shame, feel no embarrassment, feel none of that. Because any of you can do that at any time. You can fuck it up and it'll fall apart and it won't work, and that's okay. That's why you're in there. How many places in your life can you go and be totally free and go, it doesn't matter if I fuck this up. Doesn't matter if I get this wrong. Doesn't matter if I look stupid. Doesn't matter. So that's why I think that's the most important thing that the sessions that I run give. They give people a place to fail. It sounds really weird, but come to my acting workshops and fail, you know what I mean? But the failure is part of the process, isn't it? Failure is part of the process of understanding what it is that makes something fail. If you don't fail at something, you'll never know, if you're not honest with yourself.
I think it's that thing is as well, failures get such like a negative connotation attached to it, but people don't realise that anybody that's ever succeeded in any area of life, they've failed their way to success.
Failed a million times.
And success, success will give you confidence, but failure will give you experience.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, it's identifying that and getting not so much comfortable with failure, but comfortable with how you deal with failure, how you manage it. Like say some people maybe done acting at college for 3 years, go to an audition, get a knockback, and then patch it completely. It's just accepting failure is a part of life. You can't avoid failure. You can have failure. I could stay in the house and have failure. My electricity might cut out. That might be failure. Getting my lights turning on. Know what I mean? So it's in every area of your life. So it's accepting that, and then right, what can I learn from it? And that's the greatest teacher of all.
Agreed.
That's it. Very well put, innit? But one of the biggest things I learned is that first idea you have, usually run with that. See, before you go you try and perfect the idea.
Always run with it. That's the thing. Always run with it. Because what you're doing is your initial thing you run with, it's only one line or one word or one thing. By the time you get a response to that, the whole thing may have changed. The whole thing may have changed. The whole direction of it may have changed. The trick is to trust your instincts, but be ready to fucking change on a dime. Do you know what I mean? Adaptability is the second most important thing. Do you know what I mean? Trust your instincts and then be ready to throw them all in the fucking bin. Do you know what I mean? Because the person you're working with might take what you've said to start off this cracking idea you've got. I'm hearing that, but I'm hearing something completely different. But I'm hearing brilliant. This is where he wants to go. So I respond in kind. There'll be a wee part of you inside going, fuck, that's not what I meant. You need to get rid of that. You need to get rid of that. That's not what I meant thing that happens. And it happens to all of us, right? We set something up and it doesn't go the way we want it to, and we go, oh, fuck, I had something really cracking lined up there. I had something great. I was about to fucking be great. That's the fucking thing that gets you, right? So if we can get rid of that, all you're doing is you're on that wee journey with somebody, and you are both feeding off each other with no preconceived notion of where you're going to end up. It's very liberating to go, I have no idea where this is going to go. I have no idea where we're going to find ourselves. That's the beauty of it. At the beginning, that's the fucking fear. That's where all the fear lives, is going, oh no, fear of the unknown. Once you learn to drop all these preconceived notions or expectations on yourself, once you drop all them, the joy is in the discovering of the next bit and the next line, and how you're going to... It's about being constantly inspired by your scene partner.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Not just with the idea at the beginning of it, constantly inspired by them, by every move they make, every word they say, every mime they do, every object they conjure and tell you is in front of you. Brilliant, that's one less thing I need to do. Thank you. I'm going to use that. I'm going to see where that takes me. And if you can do that for every step of the way, it's fuck, man. It's like alchemy. It is like magic. Because you can create something that feels, sounds scripted, like somebody's worked on this shit. Do you know what I mean? For months and perfected it, but you're making it up. It is one of the best feelings in the world, and I want to have that more regularly. That's why I'm running the workshops primarily. I mean, I'm not making a mint off it or anything. Do you know what I mean? I want people in that room who also want to go on that journey with me. Do you know what I mean? I want people in that room who are actually getting something out of it. You know, if I feel that people aren't really getting anything out of it, you know what I mean? There's two types of people that will argue back all the time and go, but it's never a word I want to hear in there. Do you know what I mean? But if it was obvious what you were intending, I wouldn't have to stop you. Do you know what I mean? If you were listening to what I was, the guidelines I'm putting there for you to follow, which is just an exercise. It's all right to get it wrong, but if it goes wrong, I have to tell you that you've got it wrong. It's not about the performance. I don't give a fuck if you're the best actor or the worst actor in the world. If you can't follow that guideline to learn that specific thing that comes out of that specific game, we have to stop and we have to start again. But some people can't. So actors who have got a cracking big ego are quite difficult. Do you know what I mean? They'll go, but you don't really know what it was I was doing there. Do you know what I mean? you're not in the same wavelength as me. Or people whose insecurity gets the better of them. You know what I mean? And they'll feel bad about getting told what to do. They go, but that's why you're here. This is not a come show me how good you are workshop. This is come and expand your repertoire. Be better. Be bolder. Be braver. That has to start with being able to take criticism. It has to start by being able to self-reflect. Nobody can make you a good actor. I don't have that ability. I don't have the ability to make anybody a good actor. I can make you better than you are. I can help you get rid of some bad habits. I can help you see through the wood for the trees, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And be more confident. That I can do. I think everybody could act. Everybody acts every day, all the time. Do you know what I mean? The minute you get an audience, or people watching you, or critiquing you, or looking at you, that's what tells actors from non-actors apart. Do you know what I mean? But everybody could do that with the right amount of training. Everybody could learn to no give a fuck that somebody's looking at them. Do you know what I mean? Or conversely, turn it around so that they enjoy the fact that people are looking at them. Do you know what I mean? It feeds them, but it feeds them through nervous energy is essential. Do you know what I mean?
It's great. It's fuel, because it's learning to re-identify that nervous energy as excitement. And you look at excitement, and then it's suddenly your thought process suddenly becomes different. Your approach, your attitude, because nerves can make you freeze, but excitement can make you act.
But you train to fight, didn't you? You're
I do a bit of boxing.
Boxing. Right. So you've been in the ring with people. You've had fights with people, right? I've done that. I done it once. I did a charity boxing match, trained for 8 weeks, and went in and fought this fucking massive big ex-copper, man.
Fuck's sake, who got you into that?
I just saw it. Mate, I wanted to get fit. I was like, fuck it. Do you know what? I'm going to sign up for that 8 weeks. I've always dabbled with mixed martial arts, and I did a bit of jiu-jitsu and jeet kune do and karate and over the years but I've never stuck with it. Do you know what I mean? I'm a big fan of the movies and that. Do you know what I mean? I have been since I was a kid. Always fancied learning a wee bit. You know what I mean? So boxing's what I've done more than anything else. But kickboxing and stuff, loved using my legs. I used to dance when I was a kid, so I've got great flexibility and stuff. Still, as a 50-year-old man, I'm quite flexible. Do you know what I mean? I'm still quite. If I went back and trained into the things that I used to do, I would be able to do the splits and stuff again. But I would not try and do it now.
See if you could fit in the part of pivot doing the splits.
Listen, maybe the next time I'm on your show, we'll see.
It'd be a good clip.
But I think stepping in there, I had to convince myself for 8 weeks that it was a good idea to let somebody punch me in the face. Now, obviously, I didn't want him to punch me in the face, but I knew it was going to happen. But I got knocked out 3 times during training.
Really?
I trained with a big mate of mine who's got a boxing gym over in Mulgine. He's an actor and he's a really nice guy. And he's like, come and train with me. So I did the training that they did. Then I trained almost every day for 8 weeks, right? I changed my body, completely changed. 6-pack, had fucking pecs. My arms were massive. Do you know? Mate, every day. I trained for 8 weeks every day. It was like a fight camp. The only thing I didn't train properly was my cardio. I didn't do any road work, didn't do any running. I skipped a lot, but that was about it. And that's what let me down ultimately. Spoiler alert, I lost the fight but on points because I took a knee in the third because I just couldn't stand up anymore. I didn't. I was like, he's going to knock me out if I don't take a knee. The last thing I wanted was an ex-copper knocking out. But again, it's that how do you turn the anticipation, the fear that you naturally get going into a fight, how do you turn that into something positive? Do you know what I mean? How do you turn that into... And it's that giving yourself over to the moment. Do you know what I mean? And just going like, do you know what? I'm here now. I'm here. Let's fucking do this. And turned it into this massive amount of fucking adrenaline, which had me knackered within the first 30 seconds. And I was like, I can't do this. But I'd like to do it again. I'm contemplating doing it again. At this time, do lots of cardio work so that I can last the pace. Do you know what I mean? Man,
it's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I fucking hate getting punched in the face, man. I've never liked it. But see, I just enjoy the training, so it's something to focus on. It's great. It's one of the best drugs you can get naturally is like training, like boxing or any kind of combat. Gets a lot of stress at you. Great for the body, great for the physique. Just there's no end of benefits. Don't get me wrong. Getting punched in the face, punched in the head isn't great for you. I've no sparred in a while. See, I've had injury after injury. I popped in my back in after my ankle healed up. So. But I love just going down and it just that way it clears the heat. See when I'm not training, man, my heat's up my fucking arse. I need it. It's like
similar with the running now. I need to run every couple of days. Do you know what I mean? I need to go out for at least a 5k every couple of days now. So I do a 5k, 7.5k, and then a 10k every week now. Do you know what I mean? I'll lead up. So I just did the men's 10k in Glasgow. I just did that there Sunday. Aye.
Did you? I'm an nephew done that. That's right.
And I had ran like 11.5 in the lead up to it and had done a couple of 10s, but once I got there on the day I was like, it's your routine's totally different. There's all these other people and you're like, everybody's like, and then we set off and in my head I'm like, don't go too fast, that's your Achilles heel, man. You go too fast to begin with, you'll be fucked halfway through this. So I just start settling at my own pace, right, my tune's on. And everybody was just passing me, right? All these fucking people were just horsing it past me, right? And I'm like, fucking hell, man. I feel like I'm the slowest person here. And after 5k, I was passing all them. I never stopped running. I ran the whole thing. But you see all these people that have set off too quick walking later on. I was going, that's exactly why I trained. It's like you didn't train for this because you would have known that was going to happen if you set off that fast. So it's amazing you can see all the people that didn't train, didn't prepare. Same with acting, you can see it when somebody doesn't train, doesn't prepare. Bill Nye said a brilliant thing which I fucking loved. If he's in a makeup wagon in the morning getting ready for his thing and somebody asks for sides, right? Somebody asks for sides so that they can sit and start.
Which sides?
Sides is you'll get them on set, you're on a film. You in your trailer or somebody will ask you if you want them in the morning. All the scenes for that day are condensed into a small script, right? It's like A5 size, half the size in A4.
Okay.
And it's all that day's scenes in order so that you can look at it and go, right, or remind yourself, right, what's this scene? All right, okay, where am I in that script? Especially if you're doing like, well, episode 1, episode 3, episode 4, episode 1, do you know what I mean? They can all be shot in the same location on that day. So you'll need a reference to go, right, where am I in the story? Right? Where am I in this? Where am I emotionally? You can take wee notes on them and stuff, right? But all in all that work should have been done before you get in there, right? It's sitting in the house all week or the night before, your line should be learnt, you should know exactly what you're doing, there should only be a frame of reference, right? So Bill Nye says, if I'm sitting and I see an actor with sides learning their lines, I don't fucking ever want to work with them again.
Really?
Where's you should have done all that work before we got here.
The lack of preparation.
You should have done that. So you think it's okay just to rock up here. I've done all the work. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know how I want to do it. I'm ready to play this scene with you, but you've just rocking up. But I know a lot of big actors that are, like literally will be reading it before they turn around to the camera and speak. Mm-hmm. And big,
is that
famous
common
fucking
then?
actors.
In like, a lot of big names.
Aye.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
Aye.
Really? With big names?
Aye, man.
And has it shocked you?
Sometimes, I did Rebus with Ken Stott, and me and my brother did Flesh Market Close, played brothers in it. And I had the big scene at the end. I'm fucking about to shove a copper off a building, right? Fucking next morning, this fucking building, and all the cameras are on Ken Stott. And I'm fucking, this guy's killed my brother. Fucking, he's gonna have a I'm giving it fucking everything. No cameras on me. I'm giving it fucking everything. Tears and fucking snorters and fuck. Right, cut, right, we'll come back. We're going to do your return on. We've built a frame and that so that you can be right next to the edge. So we're going to do that down after lunch, right? No bother. So comes back after lunch and the producer went up going like, Ken's not feeling well, so I'll read it for you. So I had just done that whole fucking scene, giving him everything. Couldn't even get out his trailer for me in the afternoon.
Really, aye?
That's the worst, I think. Oh, he's not feeling well. He's had a wee drink with his lunch. He's wanting to have a wee lie down because he's pissed.
Do you think that's what it was, eh?
Without fucking doubt, that's what it was.
Really, aye? Fuck's sake.
Because there was fuck all rang with him before lunch.
How's it suddenly went no well? Is he fucking get food poisoning, fuck's sake?
I've been no well. I've never missed. I've never given the actor I'm working with less than I would give on camera. Never, ever in my entire career. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a scene. Act like there's 100 cameras on every part of you. Be there. Let's say that. You might be there. How can I be there if I'm like standing with a warm jacket on behind camera and just fucking, actors will go like, do you mind standing in for an island? I wasn't going anywhere, mate. I'm going to be here. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing this scene with you. I'm not going anywhere. Even if I've not got any lines and you're talking to me, I'm going to be there. Because that's important for me, for you, for this whole thing to work together. Do you know what I mean? But you get actors are just so fucking blasé about the pretend part of it. Oh, just pretend I'm there. Yeah, fuck you, man. That's not the job. The job isn't pretending you're there to pretend you're somebody else. Blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? I've got loads of.
It becomes difficult as well. See, I've not been on any big production as such, but see, sometimes when I've been filming skits. And where maybe if I'm doing it with somebody and they'll be like, alright, just do your lines, and I'm like, to who? I'm like, there's nobody there, and it's like, I understand, it's like there's a lot of actors that can do that kind of monologue side of things, but I'm like, can I, even if you're just saying the lines back to me, just give me something to bounce off of, because then that way it's a bit more human.
You need at least, the very least, somebody reading your responses back to you.
Aye.
Right? I do self-tapes. I will set up my cabin, go up my tape with my camera, my phone. If it's my brother or my mate or my wife or whoever's reading the script to me, I'm doing it out of my eye line. I don't want to see somebody read. Right? I don't want to see somebody doing. There's no point in me looking at a tap of some cunt's head while they're reading.
So you look at the camera?
No, I'll look just past the camera and that's it, and I go, right, well, that's where he is. That's where they are. Right? I'll ask whoever I'm reading with, right, how's that look? I'll say a couple of the lines there, here. Always too far away, so I'll set my eye lines. I go, right, it's corner of the door behind there, that's him, right, he's kind of tall, he's short, he's here. Right, when that guy walks in, I'll throw him a look at there, right, so work on all their looks, and then we run it. So I never look at the person that's reading. I don't see the point. If they had learned it as well and we were doing the scene, I would want that. If somebody's just reading, I don't want to see them. I want to use my imagination, my visualization. Imagine that actor. I'll do the whole walk of an actor. If I have to watch them walk out the room, I'll do all that. But that's all up here. That helps me get into that mode of being in there. Do you know what I mean? So visualization, so those exercises of visualizing are really important. Do you know what I mean? It's really important to be able to sit and conjure and imagine. And as a writer, you're going to have to sit and conjure and imagine. And I would challenge you when you're doing that in the future, get into the finest of finite details, find stuff in it that are minute. That's why the furniture, there's a light in the room, and what do you see? my most hated thing with that process is as soon as people leave the room. Why are you leaving the room? There can be anything in the fucking world in this room. Why do you feel the need to leave?
Mm-hmm.
You've no even scratched the surface of what's in that room. That's what I'm saying. Going in, and the person asking the questions is like, right, there's a mark on the desk. You remember who made that mark? Who was it? Oh, they need to conjure that up straight away.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? And then they'll need to tell you a story as to why there's a mark on the table. Well, that was me and my cousin when we were 5. You know, he threw something at me and I tried to dodge it and I hit my head on the table and it broke off. My dad was really angry. He could just go into a massive story about that for one thing, for one tiny thing. That's the point of that exercise. So that manifests itself in, I can act to a wall. I could act to a tennis ball on a fucking string because I've worked with my imagination. I've developed that through improvisation, through these techniques of being there. Of going, this is real, right? That's why I'm fucking gagging today a really good sci-fi or something. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm fucking tailor-made for that shit. Do you know what I mean? You just don't get that many opportunities. Or a really good horror where you're fucking having to believe that fucking thing's about to eat your heart. Do you know what I mean? I fucking love all that. I love all that shit. I live for that. That part of acting I love. And I think it's the most undervalued part of acting. You know, that people go, oh yeah, but you have to act with like a tennis ball. It's so ridiculous. You must be brilliant then. If you can get the same level of emotion looking at a tennis ball as most actors need looking at trust yourself. Do you know what I mean? That's a great skill to have. Genre acting, sci-fi, horror, all these kind of things. It amazes me that more people don't get Oscars and stuff for them. Because it's much fucking harder today to play a lassie in fucking Halloween, getting chased by somebody, terror, screaming, crying all the time, than it is to play, you know, some Southern belle who's having a fling at 70-year-old, and you know that Meryl Streep will get an Oscar for, because it's like, oh my god, it's a woman at 70 getting her end away. Oh my god, how touching. Yeah, but that young lassie had to run away from an axe wielding maniac for 2 hours. And do all this mad shit. Anyway.
No, definitely. It's very underappreciated. You don't actually take it into account. I think with horrors, because you buy into it so much, you buy into the emotion, you buy into the fear, you don't actually realise somebody's just running about a fucking room, acting out fear, acting out I'm going to die.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre was one of my favourite movies growing up, right? I watched it all the time and I was like convinced. I was like, this they've kidnapped these people and made them do this. I was so convinced by the acting on show in that film. Even now, still one of my favourite movies, the original. It's mental. It's mental, the level of fucking fear in that lassie's face when she's doing that.
Did that not get banned when it first came out? Aye.
A lot of the things got banned.
I remember that was one of these. You don't really get that nowadays because you can literally just go on a laptop or your phone and find a film. But I remember somebody telling me the story of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it had been banned and you couldn't get it, and they were telling me the story, and I was like, it was like an actual horror story. See, like somebody telling you about the fucking boogeyman outside and fucking all like Bible John and all that kind of thing. They were telling you a story. You were like, fuck, this sounds scary and real.
You know, the interesting thing about that being banned and all that as well is that I mean, it is based on a true. It's not that gory. There's hardly any blood in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hardly any.
It's based on true story.
Psychologically, it's fucking horrendous. It's so fear-inducing. That family, that's so horrendous what they do, but it's no about heads getting cut off and blood and guts. No, there's hardly any blood in it.
Right, okay.
It's a beautiful psychological horror film.
Right. I've never actually watched the first one. I've only watched the remake.
Watch the original 1970s one, mate, and imagine people sitting in the cinema watching that before they'd seen anything like it. Do you know what I mean? It's terrifying.
Where can you access it?
I'm sure it's online.
Get it somewhere.
Yeah, you get it somewhere, aye.
Fucking do on YouTube or something like that, man. One of the biggest things I've taken for the group as well, see, with that trusting your instinct thing, I've applied that to so many areas of my life, in conversation, podcasting. Sometimes even yesterday, like a question will pop up and I'm like, no, I'm not going to ask that. But then I'm like, just go with it. Just trust it. So it's in that respect alone. I've only been to the class like a handful of times, and I feel I've been to improv classes before and I just didn't connect with them for whatever reason. With this one, I've just managed to get it. And the way I think it's the way you bring the class as well, and you're dead patient, and you need to be with that with some people. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that there's people there that and it's different levels of ability. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to cater for all of that, and Yeah, patience is definitely needed, but you can't set something up and say this is a place where you're allowed to fail, and then get frustrated. No thanks, and then get frustrated at people failing. Do you know what I mean? You can't do that. You've got to be honest and open about that. You try anything you want, just don't try and be good. Don't try and be funny. Don't try and be original. Don't try any of that stuff. That's no important. It's only important that you trust yourself. So the first thing that falls out of your head might not be the best thing, but you're trusting yourself, and then you're trusting that your scene partner's going to run with that. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of trust, and a lot of effort. But it's an important tactic to just let it run and allow people to kind of mess up, and eventually you'll not feel bad about that at all. None of you will feel bad about it. Do you know what I mean? You'll laugh. You'll get to a certain point. And you'll go, oh, fuck this. Can we just start this again? Because this is not fucking. I'm in my own head. Once you're honest with yourself, I'm in my own head. I'm doing that fucking thing. Sorry. Do you know what I mean? Or in your head, just go, stop fucking doing that thing. And then, you can pull any scene back for the brink. Do you know what I mean? Ending a scene's really difficult. Mm-hmm. We're going to work on that as well soon. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to tell you when the 3 minutes is up. Mm-hmm. But you'll get penalised. Penalised, but you know what I mean? We'll see who can be as close to 3 minutes. So you've got to find an ending. So a beginning, a middle and an end. Mm-hmm. A minute and 20 seconds, a 20-second middle and a long end, and however that works. How do you get out of a scene? It's really tricky.
Because it's giving it flow in it.
Hey, usually one person will go, and scene. And then I was like, oh, is that us finished? Huh? But finding a natural conclusion to a conversation. Because the scene doesn't have to be good, amazing, groundbreaking, important, funny. It doesn't have to be any of these things. It just has to make sense, the conversation. That's why I started initially talking about non-performative improvisation. Right? Improvisation is usually very performative, right? You're up and you're giving it 120%, and this is all about making people laugh and taking them on this journey. But when you're training in it, it's better to just forget about all that. Do you know what I mean? There is no audience watching you. Be there in that moment with each other and just have a conversation. Take it somewhere. I like that one that me and you did with something out of the attic and a dance thing. That felt like it just unfolded. It was unfolding. I was saying things, you were going with them. You were saying things, I was going with them. There was no at no moment did we lock horns. There was no argument. There's no argument. There was no conflict. And that's what you're aiming for. That's what you need for people to see and feel what it's like just to do an improvised scene. The better you get at it, the more you can angle it towards being funny or really tense or like something out of a thriller or a drama. You can start to see, though, that's what this is. And the two of you will start working together to go, okay, this has some dark connotations, or there's a comedy, or but that'll come. Try not to run before you can walk. That's what I tell everybody.
See what you were saying earlier on as well. It's like sometimes you'll come in with something and your partner will come up with something else and you just need to run with it. I realised that because see the last scene I done before that one with me and you was me and Michael, and my plan was to go in the corner. Sometimes I'll get an idea that I'll just start the scene with this and see where it goes, and it was to do that thing coming out, and in my head it was a treasure chest. But as I went to go and do it, Michael started the scene. I went like, I fucking just need to ditch this, and he started doing the mime thing. I just need to run with this, and it was that way, that kind of adaptability. And I noticed that before that would have threw me right off. I'd have been like, fuck, what do I do? But it's that thing as well. It's kind of being present in the moment, just not thinking too far ahead. It's not chess. No, I get my chess.
What are you presented with? Deal with that. That's it. Deal with that thing in front of you. With another good hint in the Truth and Comedy book is, exposition doesn't really serve you any purpose. Just be in the moment together. Doesn't matter where you've been. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You don't need to explain yourselves. You know what I mean? You can just be. Again, that's much easier said than done. You need to practice. It's like any gym. It's what it is. It's like the gym for actors. Coming along and doing that kind of work and figuring out where you're weakest, where your weak points. Work on them. It gives you a place to work on them. Do you know what I mean?
Gives you a place to get uncomfortable.
Yeah. And better a room full of like-minded people who are on the same boat than on a set or in a rehearsal room where you're on the back foot a wee bit.
Yeah,
I mean, and that can happen to everybody.
Definitely. See the class that we do. Is there ever any intention of doing a live show or anything like that?
No. See the other group that I had, I think if there's a group of yous that want to get together and talk about doing something, using what yous are learning and maybe doing some sort of comedy, improv show, a live thing, I think that's fucking brilliant. That's what I did with it years ago. I did that, but I was running that with a bunch of mates, right? So they all wanted to do it. I was getting plenty of acting work. A lot of them weren't getting as much as they wanted, so they wanted the performance drug, they wanted to be in front of an audience and they'd get applause and feel that, right? It's not what I was wanting to do it for. I wanted to do it as a personal development thing. How do I become a better improviser? How do I become a better actor? How do I then use that in my professional life? But I understood why they wanted to do it, so we started in. We did live shows for like 7 years, man. We did it every single week for years and years and
years.
Was
that the comedy, the Improv Dogs?
Improv Dogs were the closest to the bone. You probably wouldn't get away with that now.
All right, when was this?
I mean, it was
90s or something, 2000s?
No, 2000s early. I mean, we stopped doing it maybe 10 years ago in 2014. So from about 2004 up to about 2014, we were doing the improv workshops, and the workshops became the show, and then there were no workshops, it was just the show. We'd got to a point where we'd worked so long and hard with each other, we knew each other exactly what we were going to do. If somebody started to say something, we would be like, I know where this is going, because we all shared something. We shared a sense of humour. We socially, we were always with each other. We were going to the same, me and a couple of the guys ran club nights and stuff, do you know what I mean? So we always knew our sense of humour was on the same wavelength, so we knew if somebody started something, somebody else would be able to finish it.
Right, okay.
So they wanted to start doing live shows. We started doing it. It was really good. People were coming along, we had crowds between 30 and 60 and 70 people coming. They were just mates that would come and pay and watch us just make shit up for 2 hours, you know what I mean? And play all these games with them. And then guys started writing sketches, and these things just started to develop, So the guys would come and go, I've wrote a sketch. Can we do the sketch? And go, aye. So it became half improv, half organised sketches. And we had like the hypno sketches, one that I came up with, which had no dialogue, which was just about a guy drugging a woman that he was having a first date with. Takes out a wee virus, but it's all
you said Improv Dogs, I didn't realise it was that close to the
but it's all set to, it was like the dangers of the hypno, right? So we called it the hypno sketch. So it was like, but it was a silent movie. People would come in, and then nice music would be playing. Waiter would come out and give them some wine, and they'd be like, and all that. There was no dialogue, but they would make noises at each other. So that alone's quite funny. The when we go, let's go, and she leaves to go to the toilet. Guy goes, then it's like dun dun dun, brings out the hypno and drugs her drink. And just as he's drugging her drink, the waiter walks in and sees him. And the waiter just stands and goes, and he switches the drinks to his own with the hypno, and the waiter's like, forces him to drink it. So the guy starts getting fucking. Starts falling down. Well, she comes back and he starts kind of trying to touch her, and actually throws a drink in his face. And then at the end, he's lying on a face full of pasta, and the waiter just looks about and goes, and that's the end of the sketch. The dangers of the hypno, right? So we're writing wee things like that. There was the Freudian slippers. That guy goes looking for new shoes in a shoe shop, and the guy says, I've got left in your size is some Freudian slippers. And he goes, what are they? He says, we'll try them on. I think they're life-changing. And he puts them on and goes, you're an ugly cunt, aren't you? And he goes, well, why did I say that? You say what you mean, don't worry, I don't take offence, I know I'm quite ugly. So, stuff like that, do you know what I mean? But then the show became the reason we were together, whereas the reason I set it up was to do workshops, do you know what I mean? And there was a lot of organisation in putting it together, and it kind of all fell on me because I was the director of it and I was the kind of organiser of it. And eventually I stopped. I was like, guys, I'm not doing the shows anymore. You carry on doing it if you want. And they didn't. So they wanted to turn up and they wanted to have it organised for them, but they weren't willing to keep it going themselves. Do you know what I mean? I didn't really want to date anymore. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to do that because I didn't think it was going. It wasn't why I set up.
You can extract all you could extract out it, and then it get.
No, I wanted them to keep doing workshops. I wanted us to keep just working for our benefit. I was getting a lot out of that. But they didn't. They were like, no, with the time-wise, well, the shows are enough and all that. So I was like, it's not really why I want to do it. So now here I am 10 years later and I've started them back up as a side hustle. It's a way to make an extra wee bit of coin, do you know what I mean? But also to get, hopefully, down the line, a big group of people in a room that want to do that work, do you know what I mean? Because it is work and it takes a while for you to drop your guard, and that's what you kind of need to do with improv. You know, you need to drop your guard. You need to be able to become other people and other things, and forget the your ID, forget your ego, forget all that, and let that fall away. There is nothing that you can do as an actor or an improv for me that should be embarrassing. Nothing. You don't want to do something, don't fucking do it. Do you know what I mean? That's it. If you do something you don't want to do, you'll end up feeling embarrassed. Nobody's got a fucking gun to your head. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I have that conversation with people a lot. They go, I would never play that part. And I'm going, good. I'm glad there's somebody out there that won't do the stuff I'll do. I would do fucking just about anything. I've got boundaries, of course I do. Do you know what I mean? But when it comes down to it, I feel empowered enough to have that conversation with somebody and say, no, if we're going to do this, this is how we need to do it. That's the only way. Do you know what I mean? I've played characters that I know for a fact that maybe 4 or 5 other actors have turned down.
Really, aye?
Aye. Because they don't want to play characters that are on the fringe of society that are evil or do horrible things. Whereas I think, fucking yes, man.
I love it.
The more horrible, the better.
That's it. See, when I watch films, right, it's like, see the bad guys in the films, like the really bad guys to the point. The ones you don't even realise are acting, the ones you're like, I fucking hate that cunt, and you're like, and you don't realise you do realise for the most part you've got an awareness that I hate the actor, I hate the character, but it's you realise how good an actor they are because of how well they play the character to the point you loathe them. You want to see them fall, you want to see them fail.
But that's ultimately what you want. If you're going to play a horrible character, you want people to say, I fucking hated you,
exactly.
And you're good.
That's done a good job.
Yeah.
And that's that thing about playing the kind of characters other people when they want to play, because it's one thing being liked, but to be hated to the point where people forget they're watching a show, and that's when you've really captured somebody's attention and imagination. But mate, it's been an absolute great podcast. I feel as if we could go on for hours and hours and hours.
I know. It's good once you get a good chat going in it.
Exactly. It's better with people you know as well, so I always try and chat to people beforehand, but I knew you just one of the ones you could talk to a cat about a dog. As long as I'm not in the room. But I've got a lot of young people that watch my podcast, right? And so I've started kind of tailoring it towards them near the end of the podcast. So my final question, if not so much a question, but if you get like a kind of message for the youth, any pearls of wisdom you'd like to impart.
Respect your elders now. That's, I mean, I think when you're young, get 3 young kids, and I think it's important, and we all go through it. Everybody, when they're young, goes through it. They think that what they're dealing with in that moment is everything. It's like the whole world, right? So if you're fucking having issues with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or you're having trouble at home, or you're having all that, it becomes your world is so small. It becomes everything, and everything moves on. Nothing stays still. It's the life that you're living is like a constant journey, and you can change everything about your life. You can change everything. You need to consciously, and that's a thing about manifestation. Manifestation doesn't work if all you're sitting and going is, I wish I had. That's a wish. That's no manifestation. Manifestation is putting things into place, right? So if you want to change your circumstances, you want to change what you're going through, take steps. No matter how small they are, just take a step. Take a step to go, start hanging about with different people, start going to different places, start doing different things. If you're feeling trapped, you're feeling... I always felt that when I was young, like how do I get out of this cycle that I'm in, the people that are around about me, and there's a lot of negativity and bullying and blah, blah, blah. How do I get out of it? And finding acting at a really young age, following my brother into that place and taking that chance and being bold to just go, that's okay, to walk in that room and see what happens, changed my entire life. So don't think that who you are the now is who you are. Don't think that who you are the now is who you are, because it is not. And see those people that I grew up with who felt that way and tried to maintain that and be that person, they're the unhappiest people, because because once they get to a certain age, they realise they're not the cool kid in school, or they're not the best football player. And if you hang your jacket on that thing that you are when you're young, you'll stop yourself from seeing the rest of the world. So, who you are is not who you're going to be. Who I am the now is not who I'm going to be in 10 years.
Aye.
I'm ever evolving, ever changing, always adding things to my repertoire, strings to my bow. You know what I mean? That's what life's all about. Learn the language, travel the world, do something with your life. Yeah. But in a really positive way. I mean, that sounded a wee bit like an old ass saying that piece. Do something with your life. My point being is, the world is filled with fucking billions of people. You're just one of them. Where you are the now is not necessarily where you need to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. You can travel the world, you can go anywhere you want. You can be in it you want. Exactly.
What is it they say about life? The good news and the bad news is nothing's permanent.
Nothing
at all.
Lasts forever. Nothing's permanent. The more active you are in dealing with change, the more you want it, the more it will happen.
That's exactly it. And priorities and purpose change over time. That way you can get bogged in with that thing. You're buying into something. I like how you put it there, hanging your jacket in something. I like that expression, because there's putting your eggs in a basket when you're want to focus on something, when you're want to build and grow, but to the point where you overinvest, to the point where it becomes your identity, your personality, to the point if the carpet is pulled from under your feet, you lose sense of who you are. It's always remembering that. It's just a part of life.
Ready to pivot on a moment's notice, you know what I mean? But that comes to being an open person, Talk to people. There's all these people in the world, talk to them.
I know.
Don't look at anybody older than you and think, what have they got for me? A lot of people are dicks no matter what age they are, right? Young people, old people, there are people who are dicks, but there's also a massive amount of really cool people out there that you can learn a lot from. I still feel like that, I still feel like I can learn a lot from anybody that I talk to, younger or older,
It's that thing, it's always keeping that attitude no matter what age you get to, as you say, younger and older. It's no thinking you're too old to learn something from somebody younger than you, but have just that open mind, because somebody might tell you 10 things, 9 of them might not click with you, but they might just say one thing, it just fucking clicks or makes sense, the way they express it, the way you hear it, just how it's said. It just makes sense to you, and it might change your full perspective on an issue or your life.
Read books, that would be my other one. Read lots of books.
I second that.
And that's something that I think is maybe a lost art with a lot of young people, do you know what I mean? Is that you speak to a lot of young people that I don't read much, not at all. That's every human being that's ever lived has passed down the wisdom, the stories, the emotion of being human in words and books. All those books that go back all the years, all that, the whole of human experience is there on paper. It's not the same as putting something into a search engine. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same as
definitely
that's information. The human experience is within the pages of books. That's what I would say.
There's a reason why books live longer than people. But Stephen, been an absolute pleasure having you. Just for the last, if you're open to your classes or workshops for new participants, if anybody would like to get a hold of you to maybe ask further advice or anything on that, is there anywhere somebody could get a hold of you?
They can send me an email at Acting Workshops Scotland. And I said Acting Workshop Scotland, there's only one S. It was a debate as to what to do. And also there'll be a website going up fairly soon. But It's actingworkshopscotland@gmail.com.
Okay, right, perfect.
You can put that across underneath.
Yeah, I'll stick it at a blog, get my good editing skills. It'll be in the bio.
So you can send me a message there and we can get slotted in at some workshops.
Okay, right, fantastic. Steve Mccole, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Jordan. Cheers, mate.
Like, subscribe, don't get wide. Catches.